What's going on, everybody? I'm here again for kind of the second time this week. We weren't live the first time, but Will Dodson, the doctor, is in the house, and we are here to hang out for Reconnected. And Will, how are we doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good. It's been a long week, but a good week, and all kinds of stuff going on. So I've been enjoying the energy of the new year. Very happy to be on the first live stream of 2023. Thanks for having me. How you been doing?
Of course. I'm glad you're here. Doing all right. I have been fairly swamped recently. I think I'm deciding that it's a really poor decision to take vacation time while my kids also are on vacation. Uh, that's basically just stopping one job to start another, and it's not very relaxing.
Yeah, family vacations aren't really vacations.
Not for the adults, that's for sure. We've got quite a bit of friends here. What's going on, Stan and Sardis? Hello, my friend. Bren is here. We're going to be talking about Severin tonight. Yes.
Yeah.
Cam, what's going on? Terry, hello. So many friends. Bruiser, what's going on? Media Membrane is back. I just sent him a message on IG. Hello. Lissa, what's going on? Paul, hoping 2023 is the year of Eurocrime releases. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, for sure. Talking all things Lindsay tonight. Yeah, I wish I could bring back on Eugenio Ercolani from Italy again live tonight. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
The Hobbit's here. What's going on? Holland Oates, my friend. My sister, Courtney, what's going on? Sardis is hoping it's better than Lindsay Baker. Spoilers, it is better in my opinion.
Yeah, it is.
Let's see. The Hobbit says he got an x-ray and the doctors found vinegar syndrome in my soul. I think we might be talking a little bit about vinegar syndrome tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Mitchell's here. I feel like that's a name I haven't seen in a while. What's going on, Mitchell? Griff. Wow, what's on the agenda tonight? Will is the one preparing the agenda all night tonight. We got the announcements, of course. We got what's coming next week. But other than that, we're giving most of this to Will tonight. Dead Sea Life. Who else is $1,000 poorer? What's going on, John? Dave is here. Sister Agatha. Hello, everybody. So I want to turn everything's over to you. You are the host tonight, my friend.
Oh well, let's not get crazy.
No, we're not yet.
I just
the shirts are still on.
It'll have well YouTube will do something. So yeah, I do have. There's been some stuff in the news that I really think we got to talk about, especially in light of some of the year-end roundup shows where several topics that are kind of adjacent came up. So I got a couple things, and I really appreciate you putting them up at the top of the show because I really hope we can get some opinions from people in the audience. So I actually got three topics. The first is totally inconsequential to anyone but a freak like myself, and that is, and this is controversial. I
forgot to grab mine so that I could also partake in the misery.
So it's not just me, right?
I believe it is not just you.
Okay, here's what I'm talking about, people. Let me hope I'm not taking them out of the bags because I feel like they're going to be worth some money now. Severin Films. I just got my bundle with the Four Flies on Gray Velvet and all of that.
Hold on, let's set the stage. Something controversial with Severin Films. Everybody buckle up. Will just got the bundle with Four Flies, and he has something that he would like to talk about that he is utterly shocked by, and something is wrong here.
Literally shaking. I'm not sure that I can even continue in this hobby. As I'm sure everyone watching knows, in this bundle, we had two Hall of Fame enamel pins, number 25. That's Mario Bava, clearly number 25. And number 26, as listed on the website, Dario Argento. Now, you see the problem there, my friends. That is clearly not a 6. That is a 5. That means we have two 25s. I'm really bad at holding stuff up in front of the camera. 2 25s, which screws up the entire line to come. Are they going to issue 27 and then there's no 26, just two 25s?
We need reprints. We need replacement discs.
I want replacement discs. And I'm immediately putting this up on eBay for $999.
For all the cardboard enthusiasts, right?
The cardboard. I think this is a secret prank by David Gregory, who I know dislikes the cardboard wars. All right, so that was my inconsequential thing, but I did. I looked at him and I was like, huh. And my first thought was, I froze.
You're back. Yeah.
My first thought was, I wonder if I can make some money off of this. The answer, of course, is probably not.
The funny thing was, if anybody has ever looked at my room tour video, one of the things that I do is I'm kind of cheap. I couldn't pay for some really nice pin boards like people do for enamel pins. So I went to, I think it was Michael's, and got some literal cork that they have, like little cork cubes. And I stuck those to my wall, and I've got all of the Severin Hall of Fame enamel pins in order with the card behind it, so that it actually displays the name for people that don't know. So now what do?
You're the real victim.
23, 24, 25, 25. I am screwed.
Yeah. Wow. Welcome to 2023. Starting off great.
Oh, man. I love all of this sarcastic comment.
No, please don't say anything. People are going to go flood the Severance email.
We're going to be linking this.
Guys.
Wow.
Other than that, it was a great bundle. I was really pleased with. I'm super excited about 5 days, and so that was just to start us off. But I actually do have. I have two things that are kind of serious. That's my segue.
Yeah, let's get away from the joking. Let's get serious.
Everybody, stop it with the mirth. No, I do have two things. These two things happened in the news this week, and they're completely separate. But I think that there are some ethical and moral connections, and I don't know the answers really to the questions I'm about to ask. So I'm putting this out for conversation. So, and I want to say just kind of a heads up that this starts out with like an economic topic, but then it gets into some stuff that can be pretty sensitive. So I just want to give everybody a heads up that in a minute the topic will get kind of heavy. All right, so the first part, which is not the heavy part, is, and I'm sure some of you have seen this. We were already kind of dismayed by some of the decisions being made by Warner Brothers Discovery, is that what they're called now? Yep. The big conglomerate, and what they've been doing with HBO Max. They already pulled a bunch of episodes of Sesame Street. They killed the Bat. Was it Batwoman or Batgirl?
Batgirl.
Okay, kind of retrograde title, but okay. They pulled Batgirl after it had been made. And to some degree, it's like, okay, those are the decisions that corporations make all the time. There are tons of movies that get killed after they're in the can. It sucks, but it happens. This was kind of egregious, but
and very public. That's the big difference.
Very public, right? But it happens. Okay. All right. Well, now this week, Warner Brothers Discovery removed 256 Looney Tunes shorts. So those are now gone. They also, and this will hit some of us really hard, they removed seasons 4 through 6 of the Flintstones when it was just hitting its stride. And this goes back to many conversations that we've had about the importance of preserving media physically, because streaming services, they're corporate entities. The rights to streaming are kind of ephemeral. I think I'm using ephemeral wrong, but They can disappear at any moment based on the whims of the corporation or the length of the rights, and so that's a big problem, right? There's and we get angry about it, like, you know, you're removing these things, we don't have access to them anymore.
Right.
People who don't know that they existed now may never get to know they existed, and things like Looney Tunes are particularly important historically. You know, we many of us grew up really enjoying Looney Tunes. Now that we're adults, hopefully we're thinking critically about some of the racial stereotypes and other problems that were in some of the Looney Tunes, and hopefully thinking progressively about Bugs Bunny and drag and what a milestone that was for representation. And all right, so these things have been pulled, and we're outraged. And so I was just kind of thinking about that. Like, what's my response to it, right? I've got 6 volumes of Looney Tunes. It's not all of them, but it's close. My kids are going to grow up seeing, you know, the results of dropping an anvil in somebody's head. I'm not afraid of what that might do to them.
Right.
Okay, so that happened, and that's kind of an ethical, economic question. But then something else happened that got me thinking a lot more serious about it, and that is Olivia Hussey, the actress that many of us know from Black Christmas. Olivia Hussey and Leonard Whiting have filed a lawsuit because they, if you don't know them from Black Christmas, or if you don't know Olivia Hussey from Black Christmas, you might know her from Franco Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet. Hussey and Whiting were 15 and 16 when they made that film. And it was made in 1968. Yeah. All right. The lawsuit has been filed because they allege that they were coerced into filming a nude scene, fairly explicit nude scene. And, you know, I say they allege they were coerced, doesn't really matter because they were 15 and 16.
Right.
Right. And, you know, even if you are one of those weirdos who wants to quibble about age of consent, they were 15 and 16. Right. And there's all kinds of problems with the fact that they, you know, somebody can make the artistic argument, well, this is showing. No, you can make Romeo and Juliet without any nude scene, much less a nude scene with 15 and 16-year-olds. So the movie is a problem. And this is complicated even more by the fact that the Criterion Collection is slated to release a restored Blu-ray of Romeo and Juliet on Valentine's Day, February 14th of this year. And so what are they going to do, if anything? What should they do? What should we think about it? Because right now we step away from Looney Tunes, and now we got something really problematic. Not that Looney Tunes doesn't also have problematic material in it, but this is an underage nude scene. What do we do with that? Do we say, this is the film that was made, this is the film that exists, this is the film that has to be preserved, put all kinds of warnings on it, make sure that everybody knows clearly what the problems are, kind of like the way HBO does now with Gone with the Wind, or to provide some context, whatever. Or do we say, hey, you know what? Take that scene out.
I mean, I'll throw an opinion in real quick since you've been going on that. I would say, first of all, no, going on that.
Yeah.
The first thing I would say, what do Hussey and Whiting want? Do they want the scene removed? Do they want the entire film not released now on physical media? Do they want, just warnings and now display it, even though they've been through it?
Good question. So this, as of right now, and this is as it's reported in the New York Times, as it is now, the reason they're suing now is because in the wake of the spread of the Me Too movement, the statute of limitations in California was temporarily suspended, and as of right now, they're suing for a great deal of money, with alleged allegations of not just trauma and PTSD, but also lost opportunities later in their careers as a result of the kind of psychological, emotional damage that it's done. Stuff that's kind of difficult to prove and argue. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know, and I don't know if this will have any impact on physical releases or streaming releases or anything. I do remember, like many people of my generation, I remember in my high school English class, our teacher had us watch the film. Although our English teacher, when the love scene came and put a piece of poster board over the TV and said, "They're playing checkers," and then took it down after. I don't think it was because they were underage. It was just because he was a prude. But all right. So this, and there's no way we can cover this in this show but it really gets into issues of nudity and sexualized scenes throughout film. Probably most, I don't know how famous this is, but probably most famous for esoteric film nerds like me is, Kroger Babb, the guy who did Mom and Dad and all these other like exploitation films, the original Roadshow exploitation films. The first film he produced was called Child Bride, 1938. Right? And it's an educational film about the continued phenomena of arranged, child adult marriages, right, in certain parts of the South and Southeast. And it features the actress Shirley Mills, who was 12 years old at the time, in the nude scene.
Yeah.
And that film has been preserved. Kino puts it out on Blu-ray right now. And the argument has been that it's preserved because of its historical curiosity and so on. Stan saying at the time Romeo and Juliet was heralded because of the performances, and they're great performances.
Right. Well, and before you go on, I'm sorry. There's a little more context that probably should be put out there, because some of their actual complaints are very, very valid. It's not just, hey, we were displayed this way. They are claiming that they were lied to. First off, the director came out and said, you can wear like skin colored clothing and it will be fine. And then on the day of, just magically, oh, you know what? It's not going to film right. So let's go ahead and take those off. Beyond that, they were also then told, the way we film it, you're not actually going to see any nudity. It just will look better if you're not wearing this clothing. So it is an interesting idea. But then, not that I'm trying to be cynical about it or anything like that. There is the timing thing. I mean, the fact that the statute of limitations was just lifted, and as quite a few in chat are pointing out, that Olivia Hussey has defended the scene many, many times and has been sharing that she was proud of it, to suddenly sue for $500 million. And we haven't even said yet, the director is dead. Can't defend anything. He can't he can't come out and say this didn't happen. He can't do a damn thing. He is dead. So what exactly do we do with this? Like, obviously they can sue the studio for sure. But yes, DC, we are talking about Romeo and Juliet.
So it's complicated, right? By that very fact. And I want to make it clear before wrestling with it, because again, I do not know the right, or even if there is a right answer.
Right.
Because we're talking about the film, right, which exists independently of the people who made it, and the content that's in that film, and then we're talking about these individual performers, and we don't want to get into the problem of perfect victim, right? Like, okay, so Hussey has in the past defended the scene and talked about how she's proud of it. Maybe now she has second thoughts, or maybe now she's processing some emotions that she did not realize were connected to this. Who knows, right? Like I could never. Well, I was about to say I could never speculate, but I just did. I could never know like how she as an individual feels. Right. I will say I'm not going to. I don't expect her to be perfect or unimpeachable. I don't expect her or Whiting to be able to speak to this in a cut and dry way, or for us to accept it. Right? The film was made. The film is extremely influential and has been important. And whether or not these performers were after the fact okay with the nude scene, the fact of the matter is it's a nude scene with a 15 and a 16-year-old. Are we okay with that? And I'll also, this is not the first time or the last time that we've had to wrestle with this kind of material. Thora Birch was underage when she did a nude scene in American Beauty.
Well, I mean, to be frank, even just looking at these boutique labels, there's more than a handful of films just in the last 2 years that have had releases. One of the ones that was kind of like, I'm still shocked that it has quietly gotten a release in the US, Australia, and maybe Europe as well. Fun City Editions put out Bilitis, and that has a very young woman like showering with her mom, I think. And it's not explicit necessarily, it's very natural, but it's kind of the exact same thing. There's a handful of other films that we've had recently that is, plain as day, very underage nudity. I mean, look at I think Lady Snowblood has some.
Yeah, and it's I mean, part of it speaks to the way child performers historically have been mistreated anyway, right? Like Sarah Polley's recent memoir speaks to some of that, and many others, and we all know tragic stories of people like Judy Garland who are, kind of force-fed speed and abused in different ways. And everybody can come up with examples that are making me even more uncomfortable to think about, even though I was like, we have to talk about this.
Right.
I don't know, and then I start thinking about, and I'm going to cut it off of the parameters of it here. But you look back to how many movies from our generations, adolescence and previous, which feature performers who are over the age of 18, but they're playing characters that are under, right? The Animal Houses and the Fast Times at Ridgemont Highs and so on. We're coming up with a lot of classic walkabout. Gosh, like now I'm thinking, am I going to get arrested for my film collection?
Right.
It's such an uncomfortable topic. Whatever the ultimate motivations of Hussey and Whiting are, doesn't change the fact that it's something that we have to deal with in terms of how it's preserved and how it's contextualized and how it's seen, right? Because aesthetically and historically, I'm like, well, you can't scrub it out of the movie. The movie is what it is. Provide some context, perhaps. On the other hand, the people who own the movie can do what they want with it, right? Like,
sadly true.
Like going back to streaming, I was just looking at a list of shows that pulled episodes because of white performers in blackface, including 30 Rock, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and more. what do we think about that? Those episodes are just gone. Now, on the one hand, good, you're taking accountability, and you're removing those episodes. On the other hand, are you really taking accountability because you just kind of scrubbed it and now nobody can call you out on it anymore?
Well, and the sad thing is, those two shows specifically, the blackface of those two shows, they were making fun of the person doing blackface and talking about how ridiculous it is, which is just absolutely awful.
Right, they were being satirical, and so do we distinguish between intent or not? And the answer recently, the past 5-10 years, has been like, no, intent doesn't matter. You're not allowed to do this, right? Because of the historical pain that blackface has caused. And I see the merits of that argument, and I don't want to relitigate it here because we got so many things already up in there. But when we're talking about children, doesn't, I mean, I guess intent matters in the sense that we've got this artistic thing. It can't be erased. I don't know that the morality has necessarily changed, but yeah, our sensitivity to it has. And so now, yeah, Romeo and Juliet's about to come out on Criterion.
Maybe.
And maybe, maybe. And what do we make of it? And what do we make of this stuff in general? I do think intent matters. I can only hope that on film shoots that have this kind of content that it's handled as sensitively and supportively as possible. But I'm also like, I love film, man, but there's no way I would let my kid be in that scene, no matter how much you paid me. So I don't know, I know this is not the most articulate thing, and I don't mean to be a downer, but it is relevant to the subject matter of this show and our hobby, our shared love of film, and how we talk about films and how we contextualize them. I'm certainly not advocating removing problematic material without any kind of conversation or anything. God, I just watched Busby Berkeley's Babes in Arms with Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland, and was not prepared for the minstrel scene at the end of that film. Holy shit. Awful. And and I know I'm talking about underage nudity and on one hand and blackface on the other, and they're different things. So please don't think I'm conflating them. In the case of this racist content, I don't want it to be scrubbed because I want to be able to explain to my children, why things are now the way they are now, why we have certain sensitivities that we didn't have before, what the historical context is. I don't necessarily want to make them watch that stuff, but I don't want to scrub it out. But man, scenes with kids in it, that's tough.
That's tough. Couple things from the chat, and then one more thing for me. Paul was when you said it sounded like you said menstrual, so I'm understanding people understood that the word is minstrel. DC says, nowadays there's no way any of this would be allowed. The 60s and 70s were a very different time. Yes, the culture has changed towards capturing the information, obviously, but on the other hand, like a lot of this has been illegal the entire time.
Yeah, and let me by way of contrast, I show "Don't Torture a Duckling," Lucio Fulci, in my cult films class quite a bit. And there's a scene where a little boy is confronted by a fully nude adult woman, and my students were like, "Whoa!" And I was like, "No, look at the way it's filmed. He's not
in the same room.
You're not in the same room together." And so the film has these images that are very uncomfortable, but the filmmaker did not put the kid in that situation. So, you know, that's a distinction. Of course, the image is still there, and the kid can grow up and be like, "What the fuck?" But
So one final thing, Sardis says it's up to film historians to put this in perspective in the future, and I agree with that, which is why we're having the conversation. Not that I'm proclaiming myself a film historian or anything, but this is a form of, you know, writing some of our context behind what we are accomplishing right now and what we are experiencing. One of the things that I want to caution, and I'm not the person that wrote articles, so I know that I have not done this, but I have found it very awkward. And I don't know if you've seen this yet. A lot of the places reporting on this Romeo and Juliet thing, they're using a similar headline like Olivia Hussey sues over underage nudity in Romeo and Juliet. There are, I'm not kidding, probably 75% of the articles I've seen are completely erasing Whiting from the headline.
yeah,
They're not including him whatsoever, which kind of continues the fact this myth that men can't be sexually assaulted, that men can't be you know, a victim of statutory rape, that men can't be somebody that is taken advantage of sexually, and it is abhorrent to see it continue. It is literally two people filing a lawsuit that went through the same experience together, and they're erasing one of the victims, and it is embarrassing.
Yeah, it's really important. And you know, in the sort of aggregation culture of internet scoops and journalism, what passes for journalism now, the story is sure to get, you know, embellished and exaggerated and decontextualized, which I hope our listeners resist. And yeah, you know, yeah. Oh, how do you pronounce that? DC Ebner. The Nirvana cover situation. Yeah. And so what's the context, right? That suit was dismissed because the argument was that, you know, the infant was not in any way positioned that was sexualizing or anything like that on the Nirvana cover, just in case anybody wonders what we're talking about.
Can't make that argument here.
Yeah, but in fact, the you know, the cover is kind of uncomfortable in ways that when it came out and I was a teenager, I probably didn't think about. But again, you know, I'm not coming down with anything definitive. So, you know,
right.
Anybody listening who you know, don't get mad. Trying to just trying to get the conversation going, because I really don't know how I feel.
Right.
He should sue his parents. Yeah, you know, a lot of child stars should sue their parents and have.
I mean, look at one of the biggest stories of last year, Jeanette McCurdy coming out when writing a tell-all book that's called "I'm Glad My Mom Is Dead," and going on like a national speaking tour on it. And I mean, not to get extra vulnerable for something like this, but I can totally relate to some of the feelings that she has expressed in many interviews. Like, obviously, I wasn't a child star, but the way that I was treated when I was younger, it's something that has, I mean, I still don't talk to my father. I don't talk to my stepmom, and I have not for years. And yeah, honestly, maybe the parents are one of these people that if they signed off on it, like, how are you not also guilty of doing that?
I appreciate you sharing that. That's because that really brings it home, right? Like, sometimes it's easy to distance ourselves from the child stars who are now all grown up, and there's a certain amount of Schadenfreude when the tabloids put their stuff all over the internet, but they're real people, just like you, just like me, and Sardis is more concerned about Looney Tunes disappearing. You know, that's a real thing too. I don't want that to get lost, because in a way it is connected, right? Because it's these decisions that are made both economically and aesthetically about what we can have access to, which makes it kind of reminds us of the corporate control over content whose decisions are rarely made because of actual feeling, but pressure. Am I losing money? Will I lose money because people are outraged?
Well, this Looney Tunes thing, they've not come out and said that these 256 were removed because of sensitive content, right? It was just we're removing them. So what I don't understand, they own the rights to everything Warner Brothers. What was it costing? Yeah. There is no contract negotiations. It's their content.
It was a weird thing, and I read this in an aggregating kind of site. It was the AV Club where I first read the news, so I haven't.
Well, they've been doing it for all kinds of stuff. Westworld. It's a brand new show. They just removed all of Westworld. Why?
Oh, they removed the episodes from HBO, so you can't even see.
It's not on HBO Max at all.
Well, shit, I hadn't even started it yet. God. Well, now I'm the victim.
Exactly, and that can't even be argued that it's something like the old Looney Tunes insensitive content. What are we getting out of that? I guarantee you, the server space that they were using for that is not something that is bankrupting them.
Well, yeah, we still got like all 30 seasons of South Park.
Thankfully, I think that's Paramount.
Oh, well, wasn't it streaming on HBO Max though? It was. It is, I think. Isn't it?
I'm not sure. I know that they just had their COVID movie came out on Paramount Plus.
Huh. Well, I'll find out because I've got an account.
Yep. John says they did that because of residuals to actors, maybe.
Ah. Oh. Awful. Yeah, it's on HBO. 25 seasons, not 30. My bad.
They'll get to 30 eventually. DC Ibner wants to know, where do you two stand on Disney never releasing Song of the South? Obviously, it's offensive, but I can't help but feel it's more Disney trying to save face and trying to bury it.
Yes. I don't think that Free Pepe Le Pew. I don't think either Pepe Le Pew or Song of the South is coming back out. And you want to know something? I don't have a memory of this, but according to my mom, Song of the South was the first movie I saw in theaters, like age 2, and she's told me how uncomfortable it was to watch that movie. I think we left early. I may be wrong on that. I'll have to ask her. But yeah, even at the time. She said I was like just dancing around because I was 2, but yeah, that's my legacy.
Obviously, I would rather see it released. Somebody, and you know what, it might have been DC as well. Somebody up in the chat had asked if we had seen the disclaimer before some of the Disney shorts that are offensive. I've seen them. I think that it is the best way, in my opinion, to show that content. However, I think it also must be sort of back-ended by other content that promotes material that is clearly against that in a way that is educational, and maybe even do some sort of internal documentary that shows where the studio came from and where they are now. And obviously, Disney's never going to do that, but it's something that I think would be the absolute best way to do it.
I've got 3 volumes of Tom and Jerry cartoons, and each one has an introduction by Whoopi Goldberg. Saying, basically, now listen, there's some shit in here that ain't okay.
Right.
You're going to watch it. It's okay to laugh at the funny stuff. Don't laugh at the bad stuff. That's basically what she said. I mean, she says it much more. And you know, I agree, right? Like, not just giving context, but also doing something.
Right.
This is the one thing I like about Kino is that they keep putting out, restoring and releasing sets like pioneers of African American cinema, early women filmmakers, and so we see all this history that has been suppressed in the sort of canonical history of film. You know, there were so many women filmmakers working in the silent era. There were so many Black filmmakers working in the silent era, despite the contexts, right, which were certainly still very white male dominated. But these things exist, and you know, if you're teaching film history classes like I do, you don't have to show Birth of a Nation.
Right.
You can explain that Birth of a Nation exists and that it's very influential because of continuity editing. But even at the time of its release, it was very controversial and it was protested by the NAACP and many others. And instead, let's show continuity editing in a Victor Sjostrom movie or an Alice Guy Blash movie, Lois Weaver movie. We don't have to. We don't have to show. There's all this history available to us now. So coming back up and wrapping up, because I want to talk about Vinegar Syndrome and their problematic titles. So wrapping up for me anyway, I want to give you the last word on this. No pressure. Access is important, right? Like the fact that we are losing this important connection to the history of animation and many other things, thanks to the sort of economic decisions being made by Warner Brothers Discovery. That's a problem. What do we do about that? And then on sort of a flip side of it, but also connected, what do we do with films that have not just problematic material, but material that is absolutely, God, what do I even say? That's absolutely but I was about to say taboo, but right, we want to bust taboos with art. But material that features performers who we agree are not able to make those decisions legally. I don't know.
Especially when their story right now is that they were not even allowed to give consent. It is something that happened without their say whatsoever.
And even if Hussey and Whiting, even if they're being totally cynical and they're like, hey, we're out of money, let's do this, we have an opportunity. And I'm not saying they are, but I'm sure some people are saying that they are. But even if they were, right, completely morally bankrupt and doing this cynically to take advantage of the situation and make money, it doesn't change the fact that scene is in there.
Right.
And I don't really doubt the story of how it got filmed. You know, like that sounds about right for actors who are of age.
Especially when the director has another allegation against them.
Yeah.
So I understand it. And like Will said, to bring it back full circle and to highlight a comment that I did not just a moment ago, Dude McMahon says, on a positive note, the remaining seasons of McCloud were finally released on DVD last year, 20 years after Universal released the first season. Did not mean to make Will laugh out loud, but just highlighting that is the reason why we do what we do. And obviously this is not like some noble hobby where you're a hero because you buy Dracula Prince of Darkness from Scream Factory or something, but it is something where you are supporting a company that is genuinely putting time and energy into restoring some of these pieces that could potentially be lost. So I understand it. I understand both sides of the argument. It's not my job to solve it for all of humanity, and I'm glad about that, but it is something that absolutely should be discussed.
Yeah, and I'm scrolling through the comments right now, and I'm seeing a lot of really interesting points. Some people who are kind of taking some of the things I say to task, which is great because I'm just talking it out, and I don't, even if I say like I definitively like don't feel good about this, that doesn't mean that I know exactly what to do with it or what the right thing to say. Like as Spaghetti points out, if you bury problematic material, history is doomed to repeat. Agreed. So what do we do with that problematic material? That's the question. Do we release it on ultra high definition Blu-ray on Valentine's Day? Well.
To make one final point, and I will say this with a grain of salt, obviously, but one of the things that is really bad about banning things like this is if you just come outright and say, we are not going to allow this to ever be released, that means First off, all current copies of that film are going to skyrocket in price. It is going to be in huge demand, and everybody will give all the wrong kind of attention to it.
Yeah, you create a new market for it. Yeah. And also, by the way, I want to acknowledge to the audience the irony of the fact that in just a few minutes, we're going to discuss a film called The Infernal Rapist. I know that's coming. I don't know exactly what I'm going to say about it, but I accept the responsibility. This is what I signed up for.
And, on the dour note of John's comment, we're gonna head over to announcements now. John says, "We as a country have a huge issue with understanding empathetic ideas." And then Sardis, I just said, oh, did he? Oh, there we go. It's going to end up on eBay at an exorbitant price when they eliminate the scene or take the film off the market. Yeah.
Yeah. And to go back to John's point and points of several others, this actually reminds me of something you said in the end of year show a week or so ago about why it's important for us to challenge ourselves with art. And I don't mean necessarily watching something that has uncomfortable material in that particular sense, right. but to stretch ourselves and watch film, read, seek out art that with the eye to empathy, understanding, and not just acceptance but acknowledgement of other people and their individuality, their individual pain, their individual joy, and so on, because that's really what it's all about. I mean, why do we tell stories? Why do we respond to beauty? Why does beauty even exist? Right? That's what this conversation has led to.
Yeah. Fill up your empathy tank. That's exactly what challenging yourself can absolutely do. I didn't believe this, but this is the hilarious note, and then I'm genuinely starting announcements after this. Hall & Oates says, there is an I Spit on Your Grave Valentine's Day DVD slip at Walmart right now. And
you are kidding.
It is true.
Wait, is it the original or one of the?
I believe it's the original, just on
DVD.
Holy
shit. Yeah. Actually, I'm so glad you brought that up because we talked about context. And the best way to contextualize problematic material. Joe Bob Briggs' commentary track for I Spit on Your Grave. That is the best example I've ever heard, seen anywhere of how to take a film that is on many levels abhorrent and easily misunderstood, and to give it context that not only reveals the fullness of the intent of the film, but helps you as a viewer take in these awful images and make something positive out of them.
Right.
And if anybody out there, well, I'm not recommending that you watch Spit on Your Grave, but if you do, and you haven't heard Joe Bob Briggs' commentary track for it, you should.
I will use this moment for shameless self-promotion as well. Next week we are having this deep conversation path continue on that we've had for the last couple weeks, and I don't know why. Next week we are going to be having 3 long conversation videos on the channel that is going to be about psychology in film, and they are all very different contexts, and one of them actually we discuss I Spit on Your Grave and why somebody who went through something traumatic like that may want to watch the film itself. So it is a very interesting week next week. Please give us some of those give me some comments. I definitely want those to start some conversations. Mitchell says the I Spit, it's the remake, not the original, of course.
Well, I think I'm gonna give a hot take on the remake that's like 10 years old now. I did not like the remake. I thought that it sexualized the sexual assaults, and the original does not, because sexual assault is not sexy. Well, shit, man, what am I doing? We're supposed to be talking about Border River.
Let's talk about Border River. March 28th, Kino Lorber is putting out Border River from 1954. This gets a new audio commentary with film historian Toby Rohn. This is starring Joel McCrea and Yvonne DiCarlo, directed by George Sherman.
This movie, and thank you for the save there, and thank you for the platform to talk about that stuff. Yes, let us get into more exciting and happy news. I think Yvonne DiCarlo is such an underrated actress. You know, it's just Monsters. That's what people remember her for. But she was a great character actress in so many westerns. And Joel McCrea doesn't get enough love these days. Well, I guess actually I shouldn't say that because tons of his movies are getting released by Kino Lorber and others. But I want to see more Joel McCrea love in the message boards.
She's also really good in the Monsters, though, too.
Oh, yeah.
Let's carry on to the next one. What
there we go.
After the conversation we just
oh boy.
All right, let's do it.
So this is some wine coop stuff. Oh man, they got Matt Hill on it. He writes specifically about ultra violence in film. Okay, here we go. After you, my friend.
This is an interesting one for many reasons. So first of all, this is coming in May from SRS Cinema, which is Sub Rosa Studios, and they are, let's say, they put out a lot of schlock, and some of it is classics, and some of it is like Amityville Ghost Toilet.
Well, and let's put it this way. SRS is why you can get most of Jess Franco's shot on video movies. That's where you get them all.
Yeah. So this is a Tim Ritter collection that is coming out, and this is where SRS kind of takes some weird steps. So first of all, this is a pre-order that is going live, or actually, it went live 23 minutes ago. So the shipping date of this is late May 2023. However, this is where it starts to get really rocky.
Challenge.
If they sell 100 of these by February 2nd, they will immediately flip the switch and make this a 1,000 unit on pressed Blu-rays the way it's supposed to be, on a big 3 or 4 disc set. But if they don't sell 100 by February 2nd, it will only be 200 units, and you're going to get burned discs. So it is very worrisome when they don't tell you the count of what is being pre-ordered.
Yeah.
So why would we jump at the chance to pre-order if you're possibly only going to get a handful of burned discs?
So it's not like a Kickstarter where you get your money back if it fails.
Right.
So I pulled it up here. Well, all right. To be fair, it is artificially discounted from the arbitrary title of the arbitrary price of $129 to $64.95. Oh, I don't know, man. That's a big risk.
So let's talk about what's on this. This is the quote legendary filmmaker Tim Ritter's shot on video filmography. Everything outside of the Truth or Dare series comes together in one epic release. Now, I will say, this has a shocking amount of extras in it. They did not back down from anything, really. And for SRS, this is really impressive. For the original 1985 VHS release of Twisted Illusions, which includes a Truth or Dare segment, they are giving a new upscale transfer, which these are all upscaled because they're all shot on video. They got a new commentary with Tim Ritter and horror scholar Matt Hill. We got a new interview with Joel Wynkoop. We've got a new interview with Tim Ritter, new uncut 2021 interview with the producer, Al Nicolosi, and then some stills gallery with, there's a stills gallery with a Tim Ritter commentary.
All right, hold on. I got a question.
Yep.
So Matt Hills with an S is an eminent horror scholar, and that's who I was talking about at first. But this says Matt Hill, and it's consistently Matt Hill through all there.
Yes, it is.
Is this the same horror scholar, or did they make a typo? I think either are possible when talking about SRS cinema.
That's true.
I'm gonna do some research.
The next feature on here is the 1995 VHS cut of Creep. Again, loaded with commentaries. This one with Tim Ritter, and then another one with Joel Wynkoop and Kathy Wynkoop. New interview with Joel Wynkoop, and then a 90-minute making of Creep featurette. Yeah, lots of stuff on this. Next one, Dirty Cop No Donut from 1998. This, once again, gets a commentary with Tim Ritter and Matt Hill. Then we got some other interviews, but that is not all. This is just the first post. There's another one. We are getting the sequel. We're getting Dirty Cop No Donut 2, I Am a Pig. Wow. From the year 2000, new commentary, new stills and publicity, blah, 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 viral videos, all of that. Twisted Illusions 2 from 2004 with drive-in ads. Again, we've got new commentary. This one's got the directors John Bowker, Joe Sherlock, Joel Wynkoop, Kathy Wynkoop, and Tim Ritter all on it. Bigfoot Lives short from 2003. Then the final feature, Reconciled Through the Christ from 2005. Same thing. We got stills and publicity gallery. This one's got a vintage commentary, but not a new commentary. Making of, and then behind the scenes. But then they round everything out with a bonus roundup disc, which is going to have Tim Ritter's never seen first two Super 8 films from 1979 with the commentary. Bonus uncut 2019 Savage Master Rock video directed by Tim Ritter. We got a photo gallery with commentary, Santa Kill short from Tim Ritter's 2019 Santa Slasher short for Richard Mogg and Wave video, and it's uncut. There is a short film collaboration called He Loves Me Not that is between Todd Martin and Tim Ritter. New interview with Shannon Stockin on working with Tim Ritter. Sharks of the Corn trailer, Sharks of the Corn music video. One of the things that is pretty cool, Elijah Wood is featured on here in an interview about being inspired by Tim Ritter. Wow. And then there's even more. I could not even include everything because even for a second post, it was too much information.
I gotta tell you, I'm not sure if Matt Hill is Matt Hills. I follow. Well, but it could be. I would not be surprised if.
Yeah, it's SRS. Yeah.
I mean, Matt Hills is the real deal. I look up to this guy. I don't know. I follow him on Twitter. Maybe I'll send him a message. Like, who's this guy? Like,
hey, send him a message that says, "Have you ever heard of Tim Ritter?"
Yeah, are you the guy with Tim Ritter? And he's like, "No, this is my doppelganger, Matt Hill. He's just some guy trying to make a buck off of me." So I don't know.
All right, continuing on. This is where this week started to get interesting for me. So Mondo Macabro came out of nowhere and announced Broken Mirror and Unquiet Death from 1974 and 1970, respectively. Broken Mirror is about Anne, a pregnant woman carrying her first child, living in a magnificent but oppressive villa. She works as a restorer of old paintings and has become obsessed by a particular image of a nude woman on whose body is perched a giant bird. The bird seems to be feeding off the woman. As she works in her studio at the top of the house, Anne becomes aware of a man watching her from a neighboring building. He wears a single glove on his left hand. Fearing a descent into madness, Anne attempts to discover the origin and significance of the painting that obsesses her and starts on a perilous journey that takes her deep into the mystery of her past. The film was highly praised on the initial theatrical run, but has never been available on home video before. They did want to highlight that this is featured in Kayla Genius's new edition of House of Psychotic Women and was recently screened in the UK. The Unquiet Death is also by the same director, and this is looking like it will be a double feature.
Well, now that problematic material is fine by me. I'm excited about this.
The posters for this are not very great. This is for the double. This is Unquiet Death. This is the only one that I could find anywhere, and this was the French title for Broken Mirror. Unquiet Death was released shortly after the near revolution that took place in France in '68, and very much in the spirit of those times, the film created a sensation on its initial release in Paris. It has barely been seen since, and this is also the world premiere on home video. Okay. Interesting. It's a very, very Mondo Macabro titles.
Yeah. I'm particularly interested in the stuff that came up around that time. And there were a lot of films that were kind of connected to the zeitgeist, I guess, of the era that got swallowed up, right? Like the Cannes Film Festival was canceled as a result of the May '68, and a lot of films that were set to premiere just got buried afterwards. And I'm not saying that this is one of them, but yeah, so many films have languished in obscurity because of the chaos of that time. And I'm always interested in seeing, little snapshots of what was happening artistically.
I think it is important to point out, as Jeremy Long is saying in the comments, that the voice of Ed, Edd n Eddy is also voiced by somebody named Matt Hill.
Okay, all right. I think we're we're gonna have to do some sleuthing here. The Encyclopedia Brown Brigade is going to need to make use of the internet to determine, because if this is Matt Hill's, I might get a copy. But if it's just some dude named Matt Hill, I don't give a shit what he has to say.
Well, Ron SRS is very open, so if we just ask him, we can probably get an answer.
Oh, well, okay. I'll just wait. Okay, do that.
Mondo next. They also announced Night of the Executioner from 1992, nice. Featuring one little-known actor named Paul Naschy.
Nasty Naschy. I'm excited.
So, their tagline, did you see this? Your favorite icon of Spanish cult cinema does his version of Death Wish.
Oh, cool. I hope it's not as racist.
Naschy plays Dr. Hugo Arranz, who is celebrating his 50th birthday with his wife and daughter when a gang of degenerate thugs break into their home. They rob the doctor and his family and then rape and kill both the women.
Jesus.
Great way to talk about this tonight. Their final gruesome act is to cut out Dr. Hugo's tongue, after which they leave him to bleed to death. But the doctor survives, and seeking vengeance on the punks who destroyed his family, he begins a rigorous training program to turn himself into a merciless killing machine. Naschy's final film as a writer, director, and star. This is a bleak and violent work in which the action unfolds at a relentless pace, barely pausing for breath. That followed by the following sentence. Paul Naschy throws into the mix a huge dollop of sex and sleaze. That is deplorable to read associated with Naschy.
I don't want a huge dollop of anything at any time.
And his portrayal of the Silent Avenger is one of the most powerful and chilling screen performances. This is the film's first U.S. release and a world premiere on Blu-ray, fully restored from the OCN and with a number of exclusive extras. Death Wish with a splash of Old Boy.
Not a dollop of Old Boy. A drip. Drip of Old Boy.
Ragnar says, love Mondo, but they need to have their Halloween sales in June. That way we get it at Halloween, not in March. I mean, that's true if you're pre-ordering titles, but if you're getting the titles on sale that are already out...
That's a very specific joke, and I really appreciate it.
It is very specific, but if you're getting the titles that are on sale, you get them within the next couple weeks.
That's true.
It's the pre-orders that take forever.
Pre-orders, like, you can pre-order now, and at some point we'll ship it.
A little dollop will do ya. Naschy always gets his in his movies. He loves beautiful women, that's for sure.
Well,
one more. They announced, this just sounds absolutely wild. Coming this year from Mondo Macabro's Special Silencers from 1982. Longtime fans of Mondo Macabro know we love the crazy Indonesian films of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. We know you love them too. Well, you will all be happy to know that after many years away, we are finally heading back to Jakarta. We have several projects in the works from that part of the world, but this is one of the most exciting. This is one of the key works of Indonesian exploitation cinema. It is from action specialist Arizal, mixes insane special effects, high-kicking martial arts, and gruesome horror into a highly entertaining brew. Gundar, a sadistic and sleazy local politician, steals a bag of small red pills from a local mystic. These pills, called the special silencers, as in the title, when dropped into someone's drink, cause a huge tree-like growth to burst from the victim's stomach. Gundar uses these pills to wipe out anyone who gets in the way of him becoming a powerful local landlord. What the hell? Wow.
Yeah, I love the Indonesian exploitation films. I have so many students who have fallen in love with the country's output after seeing Lady Terminator, and I am excited to add this to the syllabus. What is that, like a tree bursts out of you after you take one of these pills? That's amazing. That's like if the Lorax becomes a murderer.
How do you even follow that up? Yeah, you're right. When the Lorax becomes a murderer,
It's like Lorax and Death Wish.
I love it. To respond to Ragnar, Mondo also offered up a shipping and general update. If you made a pre-order during the Halloween sale of Dr. Caligari, Bollywood Horror, or Witch's Mountain, when we put these on sale, they said not till 2023, and of course, that's still the case. Thankfully, it'll be coming in the next 11 and a half months. We were hoping to get started mailing them out in January. That looks unlikely, however. We expect and hope to get started in February, probably the end of February, later than we or you would like, but these are very big, very complicated projects. There have been all kinds of issues and roadblocks that have come up since we put them on sale. It's on track, just taking longer. They said the good news is if you pre-order the retail editions of the previous batch, they are almost done. They have just received 3 of the 4 titles and begin sending some of those out next week. And I can attest to that because like Orbit has started getting them in and listing them as new arrivals. So those are out in the real world. They said today's announcement should show you that we are still very much going deeper into our brand, our kind of film, all very Mondo Macabro. They are pursuing projects that they love, and sometimes that puts outside of the mainstream vibe, but they are very happy about that. Expect more weird erotica, strange horror, and bizarre action. Expect the obscure, the unknown, the forgotten. Expect the unexpected.
But no more box sets.
Yeah, no more box sets because they don't sell. And then, in addition to the announcements we just talked about, we have more Greek exploitation cinema coming, more 1970s Japanese horror craziness, more French, more Indonesian, more Spanish. We probably won't do any more huge box sets like the Bollywood horror, but don't be surprised if there are several multi-film sets, double and triple features. Probably not another 4K either, at least not this year, but they are considering a couple that could see the light of day on that format soon.
Yeah, you know, I get antsy about shipping just like anybody else, but for some reason I'm more patient with Mondo Macabro because their films are so obscure.
Yep.
And you know, it always eventually. I've never had anything canceled or not arrive, and it's kind of become part of their brand. That, you know, this film is so obscure. I don't even know when we're going to ship it. we're still hacking our way through a jungle looking for elements. So
obscure. Who knows when the disc creating company will ever get the file from us? Sardis wants to know: have you heard of Snake Sisters?
Snake Sisters, I picked up. I think. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm thinking of the right movie.
While you look that up, Anthony says, "Is Lady Terminator bound to be locked to DVD forever? I've been waiting a long time to buy it." They have been saying yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've been seeing that too because that's obviously one on my watch list because it's such a great experience. Yeah, I picked up Snake Sisters at one of their like DVD going out of stock sales, but I haven't watched it yet. So thanks for the recommendation. I'll put it up at the top of the list.
Yeah, Mondo stuff is great overall. But that's it for Mondo Macabro. If you are ever interested in more from them, got a nice conversation with them on the channel, and more to come, I believe.
Yeah.
What? Oh, I did not plan on talking about this. I will go to the next one. Coming soon from Kino, Backtrack from 1990. This is a 2018 HD master by Lionsgate. This includes both the original theatrical cut and the director's cut. But really, other than, this is Jodie Foster and Dennis Hopper and Charlie Sheen and a little-known actor named Vincent Price. Plus, we got Dean Stockwell, John Turturro, Fred Ward. The big deal here...
Whoa. You haven't mentioned the most important performer of all.
We're getting there.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Tony Basil.
I knew. I didn't say that. I'll put my hat in the ring for Joe Pesci and Catherine Keener.
Oh man, I can't believe this cast. I have no awareness of this movie at all. This might be the most exciting thing comes up for me tonight.
The biggest deal though is that this is a Lionsgate title, and this is, I think, the second or third that we've seen from a boutique in the last 6 weeks. And that is a giant deal. Lionsgate have never licensed to boutiques ever. And if they're willing to start opening things like this, there are a lot of exciting titles that could be on the books. So I would keep a close eye on how some of these sell. And if this is very popular for Kino, I would not be surprised if this and the other couple that have been announced were just the first few, and we suddenly see an avalanche of some of these titles.
I just noticed Bob Dylan's in this. Holy shit. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that would, back to your point, Avalanche is right. Holy cow. There's so many films kind of locked away. Wow. I don't even know what to say.
And this one, by the way, another one directed by Dennis Hopper.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is all about Subscriber Week. We're going to be talking about that in just a moment. Anyways, another really exciting one that ties into another one we're going to talk about. Coming soon from Kino and the 3D Film Archive on 3D and standard Blu-ray. This is The Glass Web from 1953. This was a Edward G. Robinson movie with John Forsythe and Kathleen Hughes, directed by Jack Arnold. I always love the restoration work of the 3D Film Archive.
So pause right here. Very exciting. This is going to sound like I'm shilling, but I'm not. I'm actually working on an essay about Jack Arnold for a book that's coming out about Jack Arnold later this year or way later this year. And obviously Creature from Black Lagoon, the incredible Shrinking Man, so many cool Westerns, which is what I'm focused on. But yeah, 3D films like The Glass Web. My friend David A. Cook just released a book called The History of Three-Dimensional Cinema, which includes a pretty interesting write-up about this film, The Glass Web. And I know one day in the near to mid-future, you'll get to meet him and talk about it. But this film in particular, really cool work with the kind of early 3D special effects. Jack Arnold was one of those rare filmmakers who could both tell a good story and work with special effects. And I would love it if there were more filmmakers like him. James Cameron could maybe learn something. But said the guy who is nobody to the most powerful filmmaker in the world. But anyway, yeah, Jack Arnold. Hey.
Obviously, the name Edward G. Robinson is one that we are going to hear at least one more time tonight. So let's hold out on that name.
Yeah.
And move on to Vinegar Syndrome finally.
Well,
all right. All right. So we went through these together as the sale went live the other day. We're not going to spend a ton of time going through all of these, but Will did not get a chance to talk about most of these. So we're going to let Will have a shot. And then all of the other titles that have been announced since then, we've not talked about at all. So we're going to dive deep into as many of these as we can, speculate more on VSL now that we have one title revealed, and do some more. So Sidekicks, this is from 1992, and Chuck Norris is getting a VSU. What are you thinking about that?
Oh, it's not my favorite Chuck Norris film. You know, this came out when I was kind of too old to appreciate it, but people who are like 5 to 10 years younger than me are like, Sidekicks, yeah.
Right.
So, you know, I think it's an interesting and a humorous and a generationally appropriate title. You know, because I think a lot of the people who work at Vinegar Syndrome are just a little bit younger than me and are the right generation for Sidekicks to be part of their childhood.
Yep.
That's about all I have to say about Sidekicks. And, you know, it's I don't care about it. But I'm glad it's available, and I'm glad people are excited about it. You know, as far as Chuck Norris goes, give me the Octagon, which I have the Octagon, so I'm cool.
I do want to point out that one of the things that I am genuinely looking forward to this for, not even the movie, but the fact that we have a fan commentary with Joe Begas and friends. That is such an interesting addition. I cannot wait to see it. When this got announced, he was actively out there advertising his commentary. So I love that he was a part of this. Gleaming wants to know, how old are you, Will?
Well, I'm so glad that you have the avatar of Radu, the vampire from the Subspecies series, which I am exactly the right age to be obsessed with. I'll say it. I'll say it out loud. I'm 44 years old, and I know that I still wear t-shirts and cargo shorts, but they're comfortable, and that's just how it is.
I'm younger than Will, and I think most of the people at Vinegar Syndrome are actually like a year or two younger than me, even.
Yeah. My prime is past.
John said Joe Begas is usually stoned during commentary, so it'll be a fun time. Next up, we got an announcement for a very exciting title. Made in Hong Kong, Volume 1 specifically. And to make this even more all unified, Anthony Wong is in all... Whoops, what was that? I clicked on something. Dang it. Anthony Wong is in all 3 of these films.
Legally Blonde in 4K? Oh, no. Here we go. Yeah, awesome. Love Anthony Wong. Haven't seen any of these movies.
No.
Love the sound of them. And yeah, that's a nice looking Volume 1.
The Demon's Baby, Erotic Nightmare, and The Deadly Camp. Oh, yep. We probably can't show that on YouTube. Oh, well, it was very hard to see. Beyond that, I would like to once again take this moment to happily be a product placement for myself for next week and say, I hope you all are coming back next Thursday, because we have right here, I'm going to highlight the name Erica Schultz, who is from the Unsung Horror Podcast. She will be on Reconnected next Thursday.
Whoa!
Beyond that, we are doing a very fun conversation on top of the announcements. So I can't wait to see what you guys think next week. It is going to be all about horror in January, and it's going to be wild.
That is great.
Yeah, gonna be a good time. Erica wrote a essay about the film The Demon's Baby in this. And yeah, can't wait to get this. This looks genuinely great. Next up, a title that I am very excited for, because this is one of the greats. From Beyond in 4K from 1986. First off, what do you think about the art on this? This has gotten a lot of complaints.
Why? I mean, okay, it's not the original VHS art, but look at that. That's neat. That's cool. That's on brand for both Vinegar Syndrome and Stuart Gordon, Brian Usna movies
and Lovecraft.
Yeah, and you got the nice, featured spots for Ken Foray and Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton, and it looks gross and slimy, and that's what the movie is.
It very much is.
Yeah. Oh, this is. I was so happy to see Barbara Crampton, like posting about this in social media. And, and this is second only really to Reanimator in the Gordon canon. This film is so great, so dollopy. There's so many dollops of
sex and sleaze.
Everything you can imagine is in dollop form.
I mean, in this movie, kind of famously, Barbara Crampton is very much in dollop form.
Yeah.
Speaking of Barbara Crampton, wanted to remind everybody that this is getting some fun stuff. We get Re-Resonator, Looking Back at From Beyond, a 97-minute new making of documentary featuring interviews with the heavy hitters that are still with us. Unfortunately, rip to Stuart Gordon there. Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton, Ken Foray, screenwriter Dennis Paoli, Brian Usna will be there, Lee Percy, the composer Richard Band, Foley artist Vanessa Ament. Like, they got the Foley artist. What the heck? Effects supervisors Michael Deek and Anthony Dublin, effects artist William Butler, Gabe Bartalos, who is the director of the Severin film, what is the title that I'm completely forgetting? Somebody will remind me in the chat. But he put out the one where the guy is dragging the dog's head around.
Oh, is that St. Bernard?
It is St. Bernard. That's the name.
Oh, that's cool. Cool.
So he gets interviewed in this, and then a couple others still. I mean, that's pretty fantastic. And then all kinds of everything else is all archival, but we get a nice almost 100-minute making of documentary with interviews with basically everyone under the sun.
That's really the most exciting thing, along with what dollop is the new moist. You're right. I don't know. Moist is still pretty nasty.
But, I kind of want to make a T-shirt to put up on the merch store. This is dollop is the new moist.
I couldn't know that. But,
with the picture of Nashi. Oh man.
I'm sure that I'm very excited to see what the transfer looks like, but the documentary more than anything is really exciting. This is a film that I'm sure it's the same for you, that I've seen so many times.
Yep.
And yeah, holy shit. Oh, now I want more.
Exactly. I'm glad this is coming to 4K. This is the kind of film that I think really needs to be in 4K. From the 80s. This isn't there's been a handful of 4Ks that have not super been necessary, but this is one that, first of all, it was out of print, and it's a iconic movie. It certainly is needed, but not to mention the colors in this are beyond incredible. So yeah, this will look great in 4K.
Not to mention the Foley work.
I just wish I'm gonna publicly say this again. Why the hell is Vinegar Syndrome not doing an HDR grade in Dolby or Dolby Vision?
I don't know.
They get their red tinted HDR10 in there and call it a day. Anyways, just continuing with our theme from tonight, they announced 1988's Infernal Rapist. This is a lot. The synopsis for this film is crazy, and this is the slipcover. I do like the art on the back here.
Yeah.
And honestly, the art on the front is really good too. But lots of new interviews for this one, and Alexandra Heller Nicholas is on this one, doing an audio essay.
Yeah, well, that cover art kind of like reminds us of the problematic nature of so many exploitation films. Like, if you're excited to see this film, why, right? And I am very interested in seeing this film, especially based on the description and the trailer that I watched, which lead me to believe that there's some sort of socio-political allegory stuff going on, as well as crass, sleazy exploitation. And yeah, and it also leads me to kind of interrogate myself, like, why, when I see a title like El Violador Infernal, right? That's the Spanish title of like Infernal Rapist. When I see a title like that, why am I like, now that looks neat?
Yeah.
This is a. So I do. I want to see it. Well, I'm gonna see it because I subscribed, so it's coming. Whether I. And the art is provocative, and the plot is provocative, and I'm gonna see. We should talk. We should maybe after it ships, one of the next times we're on, we should talk about this and see what we think.
Before we go on, if I may, I'm going to do something. Hopefully Celeste is still here live. I wanted to say this.
Right.
I already had this queued up, and hopefully Celeste can see this. I want to give a shout out to Celeste, who was on the channel on Sunday as the sale went live, and there is a video that came out that if you are on the fence about becoming a subscriber to Vinegar Syndrome, Celeste did one called Why You Need Vinegar Syndrome's $980 2023 subscription. And obviously it's a tongue-in-cheek title, but it is a very logical, well thought out, and the important thing, very mathematical and analytical reasoning for why getting a $980 subscription was a good choice for Celeste. And it is something that is clearly going to be used by other people when they're making this decision, because it is so important to actually break this down and find out how much money you will save, because it's not a small amount of money.
Hey, I'm so glad you said this, because I saw the video of you with Celeste, who I had been unfamiliar with, and then went and checked out the channel and subscribed and love it. Hey Celeste, you're great.
Keep it going. Hopefully if Celeste is not there, if they come back and watch on the replay tomorrow, that just overwhelmed with love, because great video. Definitely something that people really need to look at. And it's 21 minutes, but it is absolutely worth it. And Celeste does great work on everything else. I mean, Celeste is taking
Hellraiser.
The analysis that is done on this channel is astonishing. The Hellraiser one is good. I always rave about the let me see if I can find it. They did a Barbarian.
Ooh, there it is. It's up. You scroll past it. Go back up.
Got it. Yeah, right there. Really great. The analysis on here is genuinely important, and I think people would enjoy it. So I had this all queued up to share, and it was just a perfect opportunity. Let's go back. Sharing screen on the announcements again. Infernal Rapist. Anything else about this other than maybe we watch it and talk about it next time you're on?
Yeah, we should talk about it. It's funny that in a weird way that the cover art with the phallic piercing, reminds me there are a bunch of old Skinamax movies getting released on DVD that I saw up on the Grindhouse video site. Some Shannon Tweed movies and stuff like that. And I got really excited because one of them, and I forget the title, one of them was directed by Lee Frost. And Lee Frost is an amazing director we should talk about sometime. But anyway, this cover art reminds me of those Skinamax box covers, except violent,
right?
But
rather than seductive.
But in many ways, those Skinamax titles are violent too. Like Strip to Kill and Illicit Dreams 4. And so in a way, this is kind of like reminding us, that a lot of the films that were marketed as erotic are actually kind of violent in ways that aren't great.
DC says Infernal Rapist has now become as synonymous on the feeds as Clute. Let's hope it doesn't start trending. On that note, let's go to the next announcement. Frostbiter.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
95. This one sounds fun as hell. This is the back of the slip, and it looks pretty good. This says, long ago, the mighty Wendigo is defeated and buried in a secret place known only to a select individual, tasked with protecting this unholy ground, lest it be revived from the grave. When two arrogant hunters, Gary and Dave, stumble upon the Wendigo's final resting place and kill its elderly protector, because that's what you do when you stumble upon it, of course, they unknowingly revive the ancient demon, which gorily dispatches Dave. Taking refuge with another group of hunters in a nearby cabin, the posse are set upon by all sorts of ghoulish creatures, not the least of which is the Wendigo itself. Meanwhile, a young woman named Sandy begins to experience visions telling her that she must now kill the Wendigo.
Come on, Sandy. So this is a Trauma license title. I had the old crappy Trauma DVD back in the day. But what's really strange about this movie is that one of the stars is Ron Ashton, the guitarist of the Stooges.
Interesting.
And but he does not do anything Stooges related. There's no guitar playing whatsoever in this film. Now I wanna be your Wendigo.
Justin says, I watched this one as well. If you liked Winter Beast, chances are you'll like Frostbiter. This was amazing.
Great.
Ron Ashton of the Stooges is in this one. This is worth the whole sub alone for me. I'll wait on reviews for this one. It's the only one I skipped. Interesting.
Wow,
Anthony says, rest in peace, Ron.
Yeah, right? I love the way we have like totally opposing views. I'm going to wait for reviews. No, I'm spending $980 for this.
Just for this time. All right. So the subscription is on sale this week. And like I said, if you're on the fence, give Celeste Video a watch. But some of the things that they are putting on here to entice you is some information in here that is interesting. So as the year rolls on, look out for the Blu-ray debut of regional chillers like Curse of the Blue Lights from 1985, new restorations that are exclusive of 1980s horror classics like the Devonsville Terror, never on disc 70s drive-in favorites like Arnold from 1972, along with plentiful jolly Mexican exploitation and horror, our first ever Brazilian releases, never on disc slashers, and much more. Also, as this year marks our 10th anniversary, we're preparing a mega 10-film collection which brings you together an array of exploitation insanity you never dreamed you could see. Oh my God, we are getting a 10-film box set if you are a subscriber. That's amazing. On the UHD front, we're upping our game even further with a killer assortment of films ranging from gialli to slashers to monsters to a notorious early Euro gore fest. Wow.
It's exciting.
Of course, you also get 50% off of all of the other sub-labels, which there are too many to even comprehend nowadays. VSA, VSP, VSU, VSL, and then, of course, also all of the partner labels as well. Let's see. And of course, there's Peakorama that you get discounts on, which will continue to offer a wide array of rare, forgotten, underloved, and just plain weird smut from around the globe, like Babe from 1981 and the hardcore action epic from Greece, The Mark from 1977, which will be making its fully uncut video debut.
Not the Babe I first thought of. Good.
Baramu.
But you know what? If Vinegar Syndrome did a UHD of Babe Pig in the City, I would go crazy. That film is amazing.
Will.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to say this, and I don't care what people think. I'm not joking. Babe Pig in the City is my favorite George Miller film. And I like his other films.
What a hill to die upon.
Yeah, I will. I love the Mad Max movies. I love Witches of Eastwick. But Babe Pig in the City is his masterpiece.
John says Brazilian release, as in Coffin Joe.
Ooh.
Could be. Although I think that they were saying, well, not Vinegar Syndrome, but it has been like a wide known topic that most of the elements for Coffin Joe stuff has been ruined. DC wants to know, what do we think the retail for that 10 film set will be outside of the subscription? Obviously, we don't. They're probably all Blu-rays, because a 10 film 4K release would be stupid. Like that would be incomprehensible in price range. Considering the fact that we've gotten 4 film sets at $60 from Vinegar Syndrome, in terms of the Amityville set, I could see a 10 film set easily being like 120, maybe even slightly more. And MSRP will probably be like $329.99.
Yeah, I mean, how many films are in those like Columbia sets that come out? Right, like 8 or 9, and they're.
Look at this Hammer 20 film set. You can get it for $20.
That's Mill Creek. And I did.
I happen to have a Columbia set right here. This is 6 films, and it's on sale for like $70.
Right, so it's like twice that. Now, are those all 4K?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so there you
go. Let's see. I don't want to clog up the chat about the Stooges. That's what the Discord is for. Chris Silvestri says Vinegar Syndrome got me good this week. I think that's true of many people.
Yeah, I bet the every day the $10 sale and the announcements, I've been like, ooh, I don't have that.
More Stooges love. Can't wait to listen tomorrow, but beyond stoked to have a fellow Stooge head in the group.
Absolutely, more than one.
DC says this will be a whole other subscription. Didn't they list that whole month MSRP as $308? Crazy. Yeah, that makes sense, because it should be listed here, right? It's May, not the next title. What am I doing? Come on, get it together. May, $301.90, including the 10th anniversary 10 film collection, plus 2 more horror UHDs and a truly killer set of surprise titles. So this means 4 releases plus the 10 film box set is what I'm reading.
This really makes Celeste's argument, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Anthony says, it was confirmed the 10-disc Vinegar Syndrome anniversary set will be new titles and none being upgrades to DVD to Blue, and that is correct. Wow. Justin did say on Facebook that they are all new to Vinegar Syndrome.
Damn.
So it is exciting.
But here's the catch. They're all Joel Wynkoop movies.
Oh, no. Tim Ritter on 4K.
Is it Wynkoop or Wynkoop?
I'm probably wrong. It's probably Wynkoop. I don't know. The 10 for 10 are wrecking Justin. I think I'm over 20 titles so far. I mean, it's the best price they've ever been, literally.
Yeah, well, I'm in a unique position because of over the years I've gotten a pretty extensive Vinegar Syndrome collection. Like if you do the checklist after you get to a certain point, they change what they call you.
Yep.
I've got so many on the checklist that like my category is TBA. So I'm not kidding, that's true. I did the checklist thing and it says TBA because it's like 200 and some titles.
Have you done the new one? Because they did update it. So now
no, this is the old checklist. I haven't looked at the new one yet, but
they have fixed it.
But each day that they've done the 10 for 10 sale, I've looked through and there's been like 1 or 2 titles, but it's been great because it's stuff that I've been wanting to check out, but it hadn't gotten around to, or it's been priced at a point that I was just like, nah, I can't. Like Death Row Game Show, which I think you hyped a couple weeks ago, for good reason, because it's I've got it on one of those Mill Creek 20 movie on 5 discs sets. And yeah, I'm excited to see it on high def. And you've mentioned this before. Vinegar Syndrome really knows how to market, and so I kind of got chills in a bad way when you were talking earlier about how some folks are feeling that Vinegar Syndrome is getting more like a corporate mentality, which I read as a kind of cold and like profit above all else kind of mentality. Because I really like the way they convinced me to give them my money at this point, because it's these things like, well, hey, we won't take it all at once. Each day we'll give you a little list of things that you can look at. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm just spending $20 today, and
just $20 7 days in a row.
Right. But it's also like really cool stuff and underappreciated titles. And I really liked the new T-shirt designs that they released today. And we've talked before about how they really have figured out good ways to interact with their clientele.
Sincerely.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
The question on many people's minds, Barry wants to know, will there be a half-year subscription? I definitely sub for 2023, but I just can't afford it right now. Plus, I'm Canadian with exchange and extra shipping. It'll be closer to 1,500 CAD. Yeah, it is. It's a lot. And the way that they worded it this year makes it sound like they may not do the half-year, which, I mean, to me, that's silly. I feel like they'd be losing so much money on that. I don't know.
I personally started as a half year.
I think most people probably did.
Yeah, when they released. Was it the same year that they did Hell Comes to Frogtown and Beastmaster?
I think Hell Comes to Frogtown was a year or two earlier. Okay.
Well, Hell Comes to Frogtown is when I became a half year subscriber because that's one of my favorite films of all time.
That was August of 2019.
Yeah, and it's a great way for people who are, in a less comfortable position to still kind of consider. Like each month, I put a little bit away to handle the subscription. That's like my Christmas gift to myself. And it'd be a shame for people not to be able to like give it a try for half price.
Yeah. Especially because for a lot of people, they got to Vinegar Syndrome because of some horror or exploitation title, and really that's what the second half of the year usually focuses on. So it's a lot easier for somebody to start with something knowing, oh, I'll have October and November, which are the big horror months for them.
Right.
And Roadhouse, which isn't even a part of the subscription. I just checked, and Beastmaster was November of 2020, so it was the next year.
Okay, that makes sense. I remember it was Christian from Christian's Hobby Blog who alerted me that Beastmaster was about to be announced, and now I'm remembering. I was like, "Boom! I'm a subscriber."
Nice.
Don't even have to worry.
Well, on top of all of the Vinegar Syndrome stuff on Sunday, we also got a glut of partner label titles. Coming this month, these next 9 releases are all available to order now. This first one is from the label Factory 25, and this is Actual People from 2022. This is the back of the slip, and I've not figured out where, but I'd heard of this title, and it's very intriguing, but really not necessarily because of the way that they described it on this release.
Yeah, well, so I'm a college professor, and if you look at the synopsis of this film, it's in her last week of college, a directionless girl deals with her growing anxieties about her love life, family, and future. So that's every day of my office hours. I'm interested in watching the film, but I don't know that I'll learn anything.
That makes sense.
But
I just realized I wasn't even sharing when I changed the cover on that one.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Oops. DC has a question. There's been some confusion as to what the cutoff is for the halfway sale. Up to when will the titles be available? This is where it gets a little murky, because before last year's Black Friday sale, it used to be everything from 3 months prior to the sale. Before that would all be on sale. But this last sale, they said everything from before 5 months before the sale, which for Vinegar Syndrome titles, 5 months before the sale was January, if it's the halfway sale, and 5 months before the Black Friday sale is June, which means they don't have titles available in the previous month for that. So yeah, it's basically 6 months for Vinegar Syndrome. So basically, if it came out Black Friday or previous, it will be on sale at the halfway sale, guaranteed. It's rough. It's different than it used to be.
Change. Don't like it.
Next one looks absolutely wild and like a lot of fun. AGFA is putting out Attack of the Beast Creatures from 1985. Yeah, this just looks great. It sounds like a sequel to the third segment in Trilogy of Terror, and I can't wait to see this.
Saw it on VHS many, many years ago. You don't even need to drink to enjoy it. It'll do the job for you.
That is the way to do it. Next up, Brothers Keeper from 2021 is coming from Altered Innocence. And this one, just like a lot of Altered Innocence titles, just sounds really great.
Mm-hmm.
Genuinely really well done.
I mean, this is the kind of stuff we were talking about in the 2022 Best of 2022 video, is the way, gosh, and I hate to hear this. I don't know, Anthony, if I feel good about that, but okay. What we were talking about in that video, one of the great things about the OCN partnership is that people who are fans of weird exploitation genre films in America and Western Europe also get exposed to all these films of all different genres,
right, from
all over the world. And I hope that this relationship, this partnership, this distribution model stays healthy, because films like this are films that I feel like I need to see. I want to encourage my students, my friends, everybody I know to see. So.
And Altered Innocence has a lot of those important ones.
Oh yeah.
They've just continued to release very important films, like the what is it, Dressed in Blue, that they just put out, I think was the title of it. Yeah. I just found it.
Yeah, that was one of my new pickups.
And that one, I don't understand how it still has 425 left of the slip. Like, that is, Justin flat out said on this channel, it is maybe the most important OCN release of the year. That influential, that important, crazy.
Yeah.
Next up, we are getting a very fun slipcover. From Enjoy the Ride Records, we are getting the first VCR and Cassettes Go Hi-Fi from 2019. I'm still trying to figure out, maybe somebody else knows, if this is two different documentaries or one, because the way it's worded is that it's only 101 minutes, so either they're both very short or it's just one long documentary. So it says, the first VCR, this is a documentary about the 1956 invention of the first VCR, which launched the home video revolution. And then it just says, Cassettes Go Hi-Fi, the story about the past, present, and remarkable future of the compact audio cassette tape.
Mm-hmm. It looks like, I don't know, the way I read it is two.
Yeah.
That two shorts.
Yep.
Which in a way, I kind of hope it is, because I think that's enough.
I get that. DC says, side question, totally unrelated, judgment call. What's a better pick, the Bloodorama or
Well, they clearly tell you which one you're going to get. So really, it's the question of moist or not, or dry.
Do you want a moist or do you want a dollop? Eric says that this is 2 shorter movies, so that helps. Next, from Utopia, we're getting In Between Girl from 2019. After being blindsided by her parents' sudden divorce, 16-year-old artistic, sardonic Angie Chen turns to secret hookups with popular jock Liam behind the back of his adored social media influencer girlfriend, Cheryl.
Oh, God, my middle child's turning 16 next month. I don't need a movie like this in my life. No, I mean, that's pretty interesting.
If one goes to one of the final screenshots, one is around an hour and the other is about 40 minutes. All right, perfect.
Great.
That helps quite a bit. Next up, another one that feels like one of the most important OCN releases.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. John, that's my new pickup line. You want it moist or a dollop? He's going to be forever single.
You sure will. Actually, if someone's like both, you're
in.
You're in, but you might.
The response to that is, have you ever seen his Paul Naschy film?
I'll actually take a polyp.
Wow. Canadian International Pictures. What a transition there to people that I know watch this show. The 2 guys from Canadian International Pictures watch this.
Hey, I'm about to hype this movie. Come on.
Genuinely one that I am extremely excited for. Canadian International Pictures putting out Kanasatake, which I think I'm saying that fairly close to accurate. This is from 1993. The subtitle on this is 270 Years of Resistance.
Yes.
And this is the 30th anniversary special edition, which is really neat. The big thing is this is a very underseen film. In July 1990, a dispute over a proposed golf course to be built on Mohawk lands in Oka, Quebec, set the stage for a historic confrontation that would grab international headlines and sear itself into the Canadian consciousness. The cool thing is this is being released with other films from the filmmaker. There are 3 other films, and one is 30 minutes, one 58 minutes, one 106 minutes. So there's a lot of stuff on here. There's a booklet featuring writing on the Oka Crisis series by Faye Ginsburg, Audra Simpson, Robert Verall, and I mean, this just sounds amazing.
Yeah, this film is important, obviously, but it's also an artistic statement, a true exemplar of documentary film. This was the first thing I got, when the sale was announced. I'm so excited to see this again.
I've not seen it, and just the entire story of everything that comes with it as well sounds great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody check this out. Let me make up for my dollop polyp comments. This film is important.
Next up, Lost Faith from 1992, coming from
There's the wing coop.
Core. He is all over the announcements this week. Here is the back of this. I love this. He lost his wife, his patience. He lost his faith. So dramatic. Again, the only thing I really want to point out on this one, Saturn's Core, never light on the special features. This is, it's almost the entire screen. It's crazy.
Yeah, you spend a week watching one of these goddamn things. And I will.
This is particularly exciting. Vinegar Syndrome has announced that OCN has a new partner label with Umbrella Entertainment. And this is the Australian label, of course, and they are putting out their previous release in Australia of the film Undead from 2003. Just so everybody's aware, Justin has confirmed it's literally the exact same disc. It's the exact same release. Nothing else is different, special on here. It's the same release, just put out in the U.S. by OCN.
Well, that's cool, right? Like your conversation a little while ago with Flip and when you all were talking about how how it seems like double dipping, but it's actually for two different.
We've talked about that quite a few times.
Yeah, and I think that's great. I've never seen Undead before. I mean, I'm region free, but I've also never seen Undead before, so I'm excited to get the opportunity to see it.
That's the crazy thing about Australia. Most of their releases are region free just because they get away with it. I don't know how, but most of the Umbrella releases have all been region free.
Man, I tell you, I'm still luxuriating in that Martyrs special edition.
Great release.
Well, that's not the right word for how to watch Martyrs, I guess. But it's such a. Anyway, we're talking about Undead. But I love Martyrs.
But you bring up a good point. I mean, with Umbrella being a partner label, we don't know what Umbrella's rights are on some of their previous releases. If theoretically they have worldwide rights for Martyrs, we could see an OCN release of Martyrs before the year end.
Well, then I'd be pissed because I dropped $70 on this, but
it would be a great thing because the U.S. has not had a good release of Martyrs.
And that's true. And, everyone who ever has an existential thought should see Martyrs. I'm not saying it's going to make you happy because it won't.
We coincidentally had somebody drop a review for Martyrs in the Discord today, and I'm just glad that people...
Really? Oh, I gotta see it. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just glad people are still out there watching it. I love Martyrs.
Yeah, that film is... Oh, goddamn, that'll change you.
Yellow Veil is putting out When I Consume You. This is by Perry Blackshear, who did They Look Like People, and this release looks to be fairly similar quality. And got an intro from the director, actor commentary track, director commentary track, some behind the scenes, deleted scenes, whole bunch of other random stuff on here. This one looks pretty decent.
I like They Look Like People, so
yeah, it's a good film.
I like what Yellow Veil puts out. I like they're one of the labels where I trust them. You know what I mean? Like whatever they're distributing, I'll check out.
Quietly, I have really enjoyed, I think, every single thing that Yellow Veil has done. And I really wish they got a little more attention because I feel like people do not talk about them so much.
Yeah. Yellow Veil.
I forgot to mention that. Thanks, Barry. The release of Undead has the soundtrack as a CD in there. So that's a really great thing.
That's something I always appreciate as a special feature from all the boutique labels. If there's a CD soundtrack, because I still listen to CDs and also burn them into my digital music. But
Severin is the king of this, obviously.
Oh yeah. Everybody can be DJ Alfonso. No, nobody can be DJ Alfonso. But you can try.
All right. Let's get into the real meat and potatoes of everything. So one thing that got sort of announced this week is Vinegar Syndrome is now offering VSMC, which stands for Vinegar Syndrome Media Club, which is a rewards and loyalty program that you can join now. You can earn points by creating an account, referring friends, and then where it gets a little dicey, leaving reviews. I'm still like waiting to hear that there's a length requirement. Otherwise, you're going to hear this movie bad.
300 words.
Yeah, this movie bad for 50 points. But this has brought on all of the people complaining that a lot of these out-of-print slipcovers are now back in print because you can get them for simply 1,000 points from Vinegar Syndrome. I don't get it.
Oh, that looks kind of cool.
A few of these look pretty great. Like I don't even drink really, but this looks pretty damn good.
I'll put that on the shelf.
The skate deck, I don't need it, but that'd be a fun wall piece. I really don't think I need a Raw Force Pog, but then when I think about that, I kind of want a Raw Force Pog.
Yeah, like most of these things are crap, but if you want it, great, right? Like go get your like wooden disc branded. I'm interested. Here's my question though about the leaving a review. What if it's negative? Is there a distinction? You know, like are they going to say, yeah, I mean, if I leave a negative review, is it still going to get the points or?
The scarier thing to me is they also said if you leave a video review, you get even more points.
I guess I'll have to start my own channel now.
Yes, finally done. Yeah, I don't understand a lot of the hate here. I'm still a big fan of not having things be limited. If something is in print, I would love everybody to be able to have the complete release. So
yeah, well, I mean, it was out of print. They printed some more, and you can get them this way.
And technically, they're different, anyways.
Yeah, and the point system, what I like is you can save up to get like the premiums here, the little tchotchkes, or you can save up points and get $5, $10, $20 off your order, which is how other point systems like Arrow and
right.
others do it. Great. I'm so glad that there's a loyalty program for people who are going to be ordering a bunch of stuff anyway. Fantastic.
DC says, I need a Vinegar Syndrome silhouette lamp a la A Christmas Story.
Oh my God, that's a great idea.
I kind of really want that now.
like 20,000 points, you get the leg. Oh, yeah. That's great.
Just wanted to throw out for everybody that at the end of this, they did put a little disclaimer that says VSMC slipcovers may be removed and or added to this program without notice because exact edition sizes will not be announced.
You know,
just making it limited again.
The cardboard wars continue.
Going to the next one. The next day, they announced the first VSA of 2023, and it is Ted Bundy from 2002. This is from Matthew Bright, the same guy that did Freeway, and you can see both sides of the slipcover here. And from all I've read, I never have had a chance to see this. From all I've read, this is actually pretty good.
It is. Hey, we were talking before, and I told you that I was uncomfortable with serial killer movies that were like directly, about, especially when victims and victims' families are still alive. So like the Dahmer series makes me kind of uncomfortable. But in the early 2000s, there were a bunch of these direct-to-video films of Ted Bundy, Dahmer, Gacy, and this really was the best of the bunch. Tiffany Shepis has a couple scenes in it. If you're a fan of Tiffany Shepis, which I am.
Who's not?
She's an important figure, especially socially now. But anyway, this is a pretty good movie. I was kind of pleased to see it. Tom Savini does the gore effects. Yeah, check it out. It's good.
I don't want to necessarily say this to undercut that. Supposedly, Tom Savini's students mostly did the gore effects on this.
What? Canceled.
Tom Savini has gotten all of the credit. Anyways, next up, Kino Lorber is putting out Outrage from 1950. This is a 2017 HD master by Paramount. This is, of course, directed by Ida Lupino, and this was released previously by Imprint in Australia.
I love Ida Lupino. I show The Hitchhiker in many of my classes, and she and Dorothy Arzner were the only women in the Directors Guild of America for about 50 years. She's an amazing director. And a pioneer, right? In independent cinema, she created her own production company. She's also known for being a pioneer in product placement as a way of raising funds for independent features. If you see a prominently displayed bag of Tostitos in a film today, you have Ida Lupino to thank in part. Not to mention, this film is good. Outrage is good.
Good. That is a good thing. DC says, outrage just goes to show that all those imprint titles are going to make their way to Kino. Horror, Twilight, they're getting them all. They likely will. I think the big thing is imprint got to Paramount first, and I don't know how they did it, but then after that, it just started to open the floodgates, basically. And now, not only are boutiques getting them, Paramount even started releasing more catalog titles. So all in all, it'll be a good thing, and I'm glad that we're getting them. I think that this will make a lot of people that are unhappy with the pricing for imprint titles, because you can get them for $8 on sale from Kino. But overall, it's a good thing, because access to films is exactly what we need. Next up is one of the more exciting things announced this week. Vinegar Syndrome announced the first title in their new VSL line, which stands for Vinegar Syndrome Labs, and they are releasing Flesh and Fantasy from 1943. So we've not gone into this at all. There is a lot here to unpack. So first of all, their copy, a trilogy of tales of love and death. First, a drowning during Mardi Gras leads to a bitter woman's masked reckoning. Next, an upstanding citizen is driven to madness and murder by a palm reader's prophecy. Finally, a circus tightrope walker is haunted by dreams of a mysterious woman and his own death. One of the first horror anthology films made by an American studio. This was even 2 years before Dead of Night. Award-winning director Julien Duvivier, who did Pepe Le Moco, delivers Flesh and Fantasy, three strange and at times surreal stories of the supernatural with an all-star cast genuinely that includes Edward G. Robinson, that we talked about earlier, Barbara Stanwyck, and Charles Boyer, who also co-produced. Stunningly photographed by Oscar winner Stanley Cortez. Now, the reason that name is exciting to me is because he also filmed The Night of the Hunter.
Yeah.
And lushly scored by Oscar nominee Alexander Tansman, Vinegar Syndrome Labs presents the Blu-ray debut of this landmark in 1940s genre filmmaking, newly restored in 2K and featuring insightful critical appreciations along with rare archival materials. So this is a Region A locked Blu-ray, newly scanned and restored in 2K from the 35mm dupe negative. New commentary with Barry Forshaw and Kim Newman. There is a featurette with French film director Christophe Gans, video trailer and all that, whatever. One of the things I will say, the fact that this is Region A locked, I would not be surprised at all if this was released by Eureka in the UK in the next year or so. I would imagine that this is something that they would absolutely want their hands on with what they've been releasing. So, what can you tell us?
Well, this might be the most prestigious. Is that the right word? In terms of just the people involved. This was a movie that did not. I mean, it was a big hit. It was one of the larger money makers of 1943. But it didn't. Well, I mean, at that time, you didn't get physical media releases of things, but it didn't take hold when physical media started re-releasing classic films. So this is going to be a big discovery for many people, including myself. I've read about this film, and look at this. Crosses VS over into Criterion territory. I guess that's kind of true. I do hope that it continues in the vein of kind of the kind of names that you might see in a Criterion movie, but the kinds of films that you wouldn't. So this is Julien Duvivier made this. Holy shit! I had no idea. I've read about this, but didn't realize that was Julien Duvivier. So. Cool. Yeah.
One of the other things is there's now this kind of public rumor that Barry Forshaw and Kim Newman also recorded another commentary for another classic horror film just like this. I don't have the title offhand, but supposedly it is looking like that will likely be coming soon from this line as well. And just a reminder, we're still not done. We are still getting another one of these, not necessarily horror or classic, but another VSL title coming tomorrow at 12:01 p.m. Eastern, and then another VSA on Saturday.
Uh-huh. I have nothing but excitement for this new acronym.
And speaking of the acronym, the thing of remembering here is that VSL is meant to be something that is an experiment for them. It's not necessarily going to be something like what they normally put out. This is meant to be, as they said previously, from eras and places that they have not released previously. So I'm expecting a lot of international eventually. I'm expecting whether that be these very old classic films. I could see them maybe getting some very modern films to release as well. So we shall see. It's a very interesting time. And actually, there's lots of ways that they could stick to only doing things on film, even if they did some modern stuff. A really great example, I just had Josh Rubin on the channel, who was in A Wounded Fawn this year from Travis Stevens, and that was filmed on 16 millimeter, and they could absolutely put that out.
Yeah. Speaking of acronyms, and this is totally nothing to do with anything.
Shoot.
Well, I have to tell you that every time I see Vinegar Syndrome use an acronym like VS or VSA or VSL, I think of the movie Abraxas. You know that movie with Jesse Ventura, and he's like a android from outer space who's come to save the day, and he's like helping some humans locate something, and they're like, "Are you sure you can find it?" And he's like, "Yes, my box has VD." People go, "VD?" And he goes, "VD, vibrational detection." And it's just the dumbest joke that's ever been in any movie ever, and it's the joke that I remember. Like when I'm on my deathbed and my daughter is holding my frail, like paper mache hand in hers, I'm gonna quote the line from Abraxas about VD.
Don't shake my arm too hard. It has VD.
Vibrational detection.
DC is alluding to a hint we got previously that said that these first two would be from fantasy and horror. And DC says, I heard someone speculate that since the word fantasy is in this title, tomorrow's title will include the word horror.
Oh, okay.
It's an interesting speculation that they could get away with there. All right. Anything else on this one before we move on?
I'm excited. I mean, this is exactly the kind of thing you hope to see from an archival release, something that has been previously unavailable, but written about and now we can see it.
And I will say the stills for this listing look incredible.
Yeah,
absolutely, like one of the better shot black and white films. And obviously, when you have the man that shot Night of the Hunter, they better look fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Next up, a company that we don't talk about all that often, Signal One Entertainment, is hosting a January sale that is on now. It ends on January 31st, and you can click on the link or go to their website. They got a lot of really good stuff. They are the ones that put out the Nick Cave, Red Rock West fairly recently. It was, I believe, the first Blu-ray release anywhere with that.
Well, dang on. I never even heard of this. Like,
You're welcome.
They got the Fighting Kentuckian. Hey, Oliver Hardy, John Wayne.
I'm out.
Oh.
No John Wayne here.
What?
I'm not a fan of John Wayne at all.
Well, we'll talk later. He's problematic, I admit that.
Terry says there are 22 letters left. Should we start trying to figure out what the other Vinegar Syndrome sublabels will be? Next up on our 12th VSB line. All right. Grindhouse Video here in Knoxville is hosting a Synapse film sale on now until the 17th of January. And they've got quite a lot of stuff listed. However, most of it is DVD. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to format shame. I don't love a lot of them. It's a big thing. I don't know if you pay attention. A lot of people are like, oh, DVD? I ain't buying it. Yeah. So there's a lot of these that will literally never be on high definition. And I've right now I'm trying to figure out a way to make an order. I've got like 3 that I want to get, and I just got to try to make it worth it to me. I can't figure out anything else to put in there.
Yeah, it's funny. There was a recent podcast, one of the Tim O podcasts for Impulse, and Tim O was interviewing Jerry Chandler, and they were talking about like, hey, are these Impulse titles ever going to go to HD? And Jerry was like, no, the elements just aren't there, the market's not there, and that's that. This is as good as they can look. Why would we, put out a Blu-ray that doesn't look good?
Well, and the other thing, hardly anybody buys like these Nakatsu or Pinky Violence films. It's not something that does well for any of the labels.
And it's too, well, I don't know it's too bad, because there are a lot of titles, those Nakatsu titles, that are really good movies that just happen to be, the Pink movies. I hate to say it is what it is, because anybody who says it is what it is being stupid in that moment. Because what you're really saying is, I have no idea what to say. And that's what I'm saying. I have no idea what to say. But get the stuff that you want. I mean, I sing Synapse's praises, as many people do, as far as their work in their Blu-ray and 4K titles. And a lot of the DVDs they have that aren't necessarily going to get restored any further are interesting and worthwhile titles. Bizarre, for example, that's a really cool movie.
I'm still curious if we're ever going to get a Blu-ray out of Lamora.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Because that DVD is, gosh, that's going on like 12 years old at this point.
Huh.
Yeah, that one came out a long time ago.
Mm.
Wave just got back to chat, was watching while eating. Just want to say that as a huge classic film fan, the new Vinegar Syndrome release makes me very happy, excited to get my copy. I'm glad that so many people were ecstatic with that VSL release. Speaking of things to be ecstatic for Vinegar Syndrome, from the Picorama line, they are putting out The Beast in Space. In space. This is from 1980. In the distant future, Captain Larry Madison, the most heroic leader of the space fleet, has been sent on a mission to Lorigon, a far-off planet known to be the galaxy's greatest resource for Antalium, a precious metal needed to create weaponry. However, when they reach the planet, they discover that it's overseen by a powerful computer, which is capable of forcing all those near it to engage in mindless debauchery. Oh my god. Determined to overcome its effects, Madison and his crew wade through jungles and valleys in search of Antalium. But why does Lieutenant Sandra Richardson keep having strange sexual nightmares involving a well-endowed beast? Yeah, I can't get into it. This one sounds god-awful to me.
Severin put this out on DVD.
They did.
And it's not really a sequel to Walerian Borachik's actual artistic movie, The Beast. I remember I have the Severin disc, and I watched it once. I don't think I made it all the way through. So this is happening, and if you're into it, go for it.
Supposedly, there's not a lot of adult scenes in it, which is odd that it is a Picorama. We do have 3 new interviews on here, if you're into that sort of thing.
they'll be more erotic than the film.
Quite possibly. I'm just being contrarian on purpose. This, I'm sure it has a lot of fans. I'm not super into it, but I'm sure that there are other people that are firmly in this demographic. He said, tongue in cheek.
Dude, crazy. Every film is someone's favorite film, right?
I've heard that before. This is the point of the show where I break down and plead with you that we only have 10 days left to vote in the 2022 Shelf Shock Rewind Awards. And if you are paying attention, also, we are doing a giveaway. And I want to make sure I say seconds this time and not minutes, Will.
You're right.
To enter this giveaway, film yourself talking about your collection in front of your collection for a 30-second or less video explaining why you love physical media. Post it on social media with the hashtag Shelf Shock Giveaway. 5 winners will be selected out of those who are entered, and those 5 will be in the award show. We will show your video, and one of those 5 will actually get a $50 Grindhouse Video gift card. Pretty cool in my mind. I mean, you can do less than 30 seconds of work and get $50 from Grindhouse Video that you're already going to spend a whole bunch of money at anyway. So why not?
Yeah.
On top of that, I wanted to throw out that we have a lot more giveaways coming. We've kind of been trickling them out there, but there is going to be some other really crazy stuff. Orbit donated a large box set that we're going to be giving away. Diabolic is going to be giving away some titles and possibly some gift cards. We also have 2 more Grindhouse Video gift cards that are going to be up for grabs. They will be in the coming 6 weeks or so. We're going to be doing some of that, but also there will be some live giveaways during the awards. And reminder, the awards on that one are February 19th. Please show up. It'll be live on this channel. It'll be live on the Shelf Shock channel, on Twitch, everywhere. It's going to be great.
I'll be there.
Will be there with bells on. Will was a member of the CSC, and I am stoked that everybody that has been a part of this has, just invested. Got lots of people sharing about it. I appreciate that.
I haven't voted yet. I'm gonna, though. It's agonizing.
It's a lot. I got to admit, I haven't voted yet either. But it's not late. We still have 10 days. Vinegar Syndrome today had their merch day, and they released this Celluloid Odyssey screen print, and then there is a shirt version as well. They have a Vinegar Syndrome 10th anniversary shirt on the back of this. It has a Vincin 10 logo. They have the film reel shirt, and then they brought back their Blood Moon shirt. And this screen print will only be available until Saturday night at midnight, I believe. And it is a timed limited edition, so it's not numbered or anything like that. They are only going to make as many as they sell. We are getting close to the end for this week. Got a few left. One of them is this giant box set that we're going to talk about. Violent Streets, the Umberto Lenzi Tomas Milian collection.
Oh, yeah. Don't oversell it there. Holy cow. Are you kidding? What an announcement.
This is a big deal. A lot of people were kind of meh on this because they've been picking up the 88 films releases of the same movies. This is pretty cool for the U.S. to get a box set of Umberto Lenzi stuff. That doesn't really happen for this type of a director very often. So I'm glad we're getting it. The Polizio Tesci stuff that we are getting in this is something that is kind of a bit of an unmined area of film for us. We got that box set from Arrow, The Years of Lead. We've got a couple like German releases, but nothing massive.
Yeah, the Enzo Castellari double feature too.
Yeah,
these films. All right, so back in the day, I don't know if you remember. You remember that label No Shame that specialized? They released DVDs. This was back in before. They only released about 28, 29 titles. But it was all Italian genre films, mostly Polizio Tesci. And now a lot of those films are getting, Convoy Busters was one of them that Cauldron just put out. There's other Italian genre films like The Most Beautiful Wife with Moglia Piovella, which Twilight Time did. So these films, Poliziotteschi, which are like cops and robbers movies, the Dirty Harry type films, tend to really get into contemporary of the time, which from late 60s, early 70s, of the years of lead, this period where there were an unprecedented number of terrorist attacks, both right and left, when the Italian mafia was assassinating judges and politicians. I mean, shit was going down in all parts of Italy, Sicily, and these films, these genre films, which are like guys in mustaches with tight pants going after criminals, but if you like look into the context of it, right, the contemporary Italian history is like, whoa, these films are making statements,
right?
And Almost Human is fucking great. No Shame put that one out. Syndicate Sadist is really good. The other three films I have not seen, so this box set I was like, gimme, because I'm really interested in that period of Italian history, and these films are so important to understanding that.
This is a box set with some very interesting features. So
Yeah.
Gonna try to dive into some of that here and do my best to explain why this was very exciting, but then also a little confusing. There's a handful of things that don't make a lot of sense to me. So first off, I do want to highlight this final sentence here in the description. This collection presents Lenzi and Million's 5 greatest collaborations, now restored, uncut, and uncensored from the OCNs for the first time ever. So even though you may have those previous releases from 88 Films or Code Red or other releases like the who was the other one that just put out Freehand for a Tough Cop? I feel like I just saw it in the chat. Fractured Visions, that's the other one. Even though you may have those, these are likely all new restorations if what they are saying is accurate here. The other thing, there are 5 films in this box set. We got Almost Human, Syndicate Sadist, Freehand for a Tough Cop, The Cynic, The Rat, and the Fist, and Brothers Till We Die. First off, there's some sort of error on their website. They've got 5 films. We are getting 4 of their soundtracks on 3 discs, and they're calling it a 9-disc set. 5 films, 3 CDs. It should be 8 discs from what I'm reading there. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on. Now, when they announce this and they say 9-disc collection, I think most people are probably not thinking 3 discs are going to be 4 soundtracks. So it could be a little underwhelming when you hear that. However, it is a Lenzi and Million collection, and this is their 5. That it makes sense. The fact that we did get the soundtracks is really cool. I'm glad that we're getting them. I'm glad that it's a part of the box set. Then, for another downer, out of those 5 films, one of them has 2 audio commentaries. The other 4 have none.
Well, they could have asked me.
That's what I don't understand. There is a line of people willing to do audio commentaries on these releases literally for free just to get their name out there and just because they like doing it. And 4 of these films don't have one.
I should also say it's kind of funny. I'm really excited about this. I'm not taking anything back about my excitement. But it's really funny that they say it's the collection presents Lenzi and Million's 5 greatest collaborations. In case anybody's wondering, they made 6 films together. The other one is The Tough Ones, which Grindhouse Releasing has put out on Blu-ray, and spoiler alert, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Okay, Justin says originally they had it listed at 9, and now it says 8. Good to know. The Cynic, The Rat, and the Fist is the only one I haven't seen.
Everybody check out The Tough Ones as well, and then we can decide which are the 5 best.
Yeah, and The Tough Ones has had many releases over the years, and it is the famous one. I will say that. Yeah, this is a great release overall. It is Severin. It's a box set. It's probably going to be fantastic. It is maybe being attempted to be marketed very well, and I think they're still learning a little bit of that. But this release genuinely does look great, and I've seen 2 of these and love them both. The release of Freehand for a Tough Cop in the UK was a great release, but the transfer was not that great. So I'm really excited to see how they could do on that one. This looks really good.
Yeah, and I'll be interested. As you know, Severin's podcast in which they go into this release just dropped today. So I'm going to check that out tomorrow and see what they have to say about it. That might clear some things up. But all in all, I'm all about some Umberto Lenzi. I know you just had Troy Haworth on here, and I'm glad he does a commentary because he knows his shit when it comes to Lenzi.
Yep. Severin was not done then. They are, by the way, this is just another post with all of the extras. There's a lot of stuff on here. They are also releasing Attack Force Z with Mel Gibson and Sam Neill from 1981.
Yeah, I know nothing about this. I was just looking up the director, Tim Burstall, who has a pretty extensive and interesting looking filmography, and I haven't seen a single film he's done. This will be the first.
I was very torn when I read this. I really don't love Mel Gibson as a action star, but then I also really love Sam Neill for some reason. Even though I think this is one of Sam Neill's, it says in one of his earliest film roles, 2-time Academy Award winner Mel Gibson stars with Sam Neill and John Philip Law. Sam Neill in 1981. I mean, what else was he doing around then? Obviously, we got Possession going on. We've got a handful of other films that he had either been in or about to be in. I have no idea.
This don't forget Omen 3.
I genuinely like that movie.
Yeah.
DC says this is the prequel to Riggs' story in Lethal Weapon.
Well, and Sam Neill had already done My Brilliant Career and a couple of, and I feel pretty confident that he wouldn't put up with any Mel Gibson's bullshit.
Sam Neill is way underrated, I think.
Yeah.
But anyways, I know nothing about this. This came out of nowhere. Very interesting. But maybe the most interesting news of the day. Let's break into this one. Somebody asked in the chat earlier about this label. Party Girl is coming on February 28th from Fun City Editions, but it's being distributed by MVD Entertainment. Now, Letterboxd had the exclusive news on this, and in their article, they said Vinegar Syndrome and OCN Distribution are still partnered with Fun City Editions, but MVD Entertainment would also be releasing some of their films. This is from 1995, and it's a Parker Posey joint that has been wanted by a lot of people for a very long time. The trailer for this looks fantastic. Meaning the restoration, it genuinely looks like they absolutely did an amazing job on this. However, I don't have any super inside information. I'm still very curious how this whole partnership with OCN and Fun City is going to go down. They haven't had releases in 3 or 4 months, something like that. I'm very curious to see when and if we're going to get another OCN title with them. Who knows? Something could change at the drop of a hat. But I know that this is a very big deal for a lot of people. This is a title that is beloved by many. Party Girl, what's your history with it?
I've not seen Party Girl. I love Parker Posey. I've seen many of her films. I thought she was my favorite part of Scream 3. One of my favorite parts of Waiting for Guffman. Best in Show. And of course she was in so many of like indie wave 90s films that whose titles escape me because I saw so many of them as a teenager. So this is a gap in my Parker Posey history that I am looking forward to checking out, whoever is distributing it. Yeah.
Stan Geezy says, speaking of Sam Neill in Possession, it is up now on Shudder.
Oh, no way. Great. I hope a lot of people watch it.
DC says, are the slips exclusive, or can MVD put them out with them too? As far as I'm aware, it's if you go to the same people that are creating the slips for Vinegar Syndrome, you could just sign a contract with them yourselves and make your own slips with them. So
yeah, but they'll have that MVD thing at the bottom.
This is true, and they will have the Fun City logo the same, and they'll probably be shrink wrapped to all hell. Fun City did say they were working on Primetime Panic Volume 2 as well, but remains to be seen where we can buy these upcoming releases. And yeah, today was an odd announcement because it wasn't like available for pre-order anywhere. Fun City just kind of tweeted this, and it was like a soft announcement. Joe Jack is asking, will this show up February 1st on the VS site for Fun City? No, it will not. This is being distributed by MVD, not by OCN, so they will not be selling it on the Vinegar Syndrome website. Travis says, Parker Posey, great in Dazed and Confused. I will argue Parker Posey has been great in every single thing she's been a part of.
I can't think of anything where I'm like, Parker Posey sucked in that. I can't think of one. I can think of some movies where the movie wasn't great, but
right. Yeah, so I'm curious to see this whole Fun City editions, where it's going to potentially shake up. We shall see. Next up is Kino Lorber putting out Love Letters from 1945 with Jennifer Jones and Joseph Cotton. We got an audio commentary by entertainment journalist and author Brian Reisman, and that's all I know about this.
Oh, William Dieterle, man. William Dieterle, great director, German immigrant, probably best known for Waxworks, the silent film, 1924.
Just got a recent Warner Archive release, I believe.
Yeah, and it's incredible. Came to America and made. He did the second film version of Maltese Falcon, Satan Met a Lady with young Betty Davis. The Devil and Daniel Webster, which I think Criterion puts out. He made a lot of. The film noir Dark City with Charlton Heston. That's really good. I've not seen Love Letters, but a romantic film noir. Well, there you go. That's good enough for me. Dieterle has done dozens of great films within the studio system, and then expressionist films in Germany before coming to Hollywood. So you can be guaranteed that the film's going to look good and be entertaining, even if it's not a total classic.
Eric wanted to throw out there, Party Girl is on the Criterion channel right now, and yeah, that's one I'm kind of shocked Criterion didn't get it. So we'll see what is going on there. This one is available to order now, coming on February 28th as a Best Buy exclusive 4K Steelbook is Training Day from 2001 with Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke. Love this movie. I believe this is getting a standard release as well, but just in case you're interested, I would potentially consider pre-ordering this one. I have a feeling this one will do very well for them.
We were just talking about these Best Buy exclusives.
Yeah.
In the last video, and I was harping on Punisher Warzone, but we were talking about how it's problematic that they're so limited that it can be difficult for people to get them. And I remember they did Ron, the Akira Kurosawa film.
Yeah.
Just like these random films that they get, and they put out these big editions, and then they're gone, and You have to go to Best Buy to get them.
Well, and Ron is the perfect example because it didn't get a standard edition. If you want Ron on 4K in the US, that was the only way to get it, and it's long gone. It sold out, I believe, on pre-order.
Oh man, I should have gotten 2 then.
I did get 2, and I gave one away on this channel for free and sent it to somebody in the UK. So congratulations again.
Well, they should send you a second thank you.
Last announcement of the day. We got some release details. These have been announced previously. Gold Ninja Video. You can pre-order now 1932's White Zombie with Bela Lugosi and King of the Bullwhip from 1950. We got both of the final cover arts revealed here and some of the interesting features on these. So for White Zombie, there's a commentary by Justin DeClue and Will Sloan, of course. There is a video that is a beginner's guide to 16mm projection, a discussion with archivist and projectionist Amelia Eichler, and a video that is called The Proto-Zombie, a Video History. Justin DeClue made a short film called The Film Scanner That Demanded Blood. And then there's a bonus Bela Lugosi film from 1935 called Phantom Ship, available for the first time in HD in a new scan from a 16mm print. And then, of course, as usual, they have liner notes on the career of director Victor Halperin by Felix Dembinski. They always do this little booklet with some sort of contextual notes in it. And the interesting thing here is their release of White Zombie, they scanned in themselves, and it doesn't look great. But they are basically saying we wanted that to be the case. They wanted it to feel like an old projector, something that has gone through a projector for 50 years and has this rough feeling. And they're basically displaying it as Justin being a horror host, like an Elvira or a Svengoolie type of situation. So
probably closer to Svengoolie than Elvira.
Yeah, obviously. Well, I don't know. Justin can probably be pretty seductive. It's an interesting idea for a burned Blu-ray release from Canada. It is a hard sale, I think, and I hope that fans of his really embrace it. But yeah, that one's going to be tough because in the US you can already get a great release from Kino with 2 different cuts that look better than his release, unfortunately.
A dollop of Declue. I'm most excited about the Phantom Ship.
Yep.
If you've got the Kino release, and you should have the Kino release, you should keep it because the Gary D. Rhodes commentary is the definitive. But I don't like what you just said about it being a crappy transfer. But I do really like all those bonus features. So I might have to check. I think I'm gonna check this out.
So on their site right now, it says, "Is there beauty in the hazy imperfect? That's the question Gold Ninja Video poses to the viewer in this experimental presentation of the legendary Poverty Row horror film White Zombie in a form meant to evoke a dream transmission from a long forgotten time, or a 2 a.m. broadcast on a local public access television hosted by 2 passionate people dressed as monsters." It literally says that.
I think it's more that. Yeah.
And they have a still of Will and Justin literally dressed up as various Bela Lugosi creatures. And then it goes on to say, Will Sloan and Justin DeClue are your ghoulish guides through this Bela Lugosi classic in a new 2K scan from a battered 16mm library print, whose textures throw back to the yesteryears when celluloid was fed into a howling projector as the audience looked up at the dreamy flickering images from a cold church basement floor. Back when there was something mystical about the black and white visuals that were impossible to grasp, yet destined to haunt your dreams. And then they even admit it. They say there are many better looking versions of White Zombie, but none are this experience.
I love what they had to say. I don't believe that's how audiences experience the film.
I get that.
I say this as a fan of Justin DeClue's work.
Yep.
And I think that they're describing their childhood experiences of watching this film on television, and I respect that, honor it, share it. We'll watch this, but I'll be keeping my Gary Rhodes commentary in the Kino Blu-ray.
The King of the Bullwhip release that they're putting out is getting a commentary by Will and Justin. There is a featurette, a video guide to Poverty Row Westerns called Fast Guns, Cheaply Made. There is another one called From Deadly Whips to the Terrors of Sin, the hair-raising career of director Ron Ormond. There is a bonus feature of Lash LaRue in his first PRC feature film, Law of the Lash. And then they're putting a second bonus feature on there. They just haven't figured out what they're going to do with that one yet. And then Justin is writing liner notes for that one.
Well, I'm all in on this one. I don't have any other release.
That makes sense. And that is all of the announcements of this week. As usual, we will run through very quickly what is releasing this coming Tuesday. Dragons Forever 4K, which has been delayed 812 times and has shipped from Diabolic to most people, including myself. I'm so glad I have it finally. Groundhog Day in 4K, Rancho Notorious from Warner Archive, Imitation of Life from Criterion, The Dunwich Horror from Arrow Video, the Executioner Collection with Sonny Chiba coming from Arrow, the original Ouija in 4K from Scream Factory, Our Dancing Daughters with Joan Crawford from Warner Archive, Warning Shot from Kino, For Some Reason, Friday the 13th, the final chapter, Blu-ray Steelbook, The Gang of Four from Cohen Media, She Said from last year is coming out, Piggy from last year is also releasing next week, Mondo Macabro's standard editions from the last wave is being released, The Friendship Game from 2022, The Man Who Fell to Earth from 2022, and that was it.
You didn't give enough attention to the return of Tanya Tucker.
I did that on purpose. She killed my dog. Just kidding. I couldn't think of anything that would be funny for Tanya Tucker. That was it. Justin says, I'm used to watching White Zombie on a beat-up VHS tape, so this will feel right to me.
Yeah.
Wave description sounds like a Tarantino's wet dream about celluloid. I would agree there. Yes, I want to experience everything as if I were watching it through a David Lynch fever dream.
Some days, yeah.
Wasn't there a 4K for Groundhog Day already? Yes, but I don't think in a steelbook.
Well, it comes out every day.
It's a re-release, Griff, just like it will be tomorrow and Saturday. Let's see. What else do we got? Same transfer, but maybe they added Dolby Vision. That could be possible. Off topic about the Vinegar Syndrome partner labels are getting messy. No More Terrorvision and now Fun City are working with both Vinegar Syndrome and MVD. Not sure how sustainable this is. I mean,
there's still
the releases. There's still a lot to fall back on, but also the releases are still getting out there.
Yeah. Well, and that's the important thing. Well, you know, we're not in the thick of it, and you know, you can have a great relationship with 10 people, and the 11th person you have a bad relationship with, and I hope that's what it is. I would hate to think that something's changed in terms of respect and collaboration, because from our end of things, you know, as a consumer, this has been such a great entryway into these labels and into their films. I hope that this is not a trend. I hope this is something that these two labels have done what they think is best for them. And well, every label should do what they think is best for themselves. Right.
Well, and by all accounts, right now, Fun City is still a partner label, so it's not like they've left. It's just a matter. It could very well be a rights thing. We also got to remember they are a partner label of Radiance in the UK, and MVD is handling the Radiance releases in the US. So it could just be something through that partnership to save them money on distribution.
Indeed, yeah. Well, I'm not going to try to stir up drama until there is drama. So
Terry says, it is sustainable for now, but we might need a board and some string if the partner label evolution continues. Wave has a question for us there, Will. Out of all of the releases that we read about tonight, which 2 releases would you be most excited for?
All the releases that we talked about tonight, I mean, well, From Beyond, right?
Remember, you got to keep it to 2.
Well,
Not your classic, I'm going to pick 6 and say 2 of those. I made it difficult.
All right. Well, I mean, I've seen From Beyond a million times, so I'm going to take it out. Actually, I'm a subscriber, so whatever, all that shit I'm getting anyway. So the ones that I would actually have to make decisions about, probably that William Dieterle movie, whose title has already slipped my mind because it's 12:30 in the morning when I got up at 6 to start work, well, you know what? If that is Matt Hills on the Tim Ritter thing, I'm gonna check it out. No, I'm not excited about it.
Good. I'm gonna go with the Made in Hong Kong Volume 1 collection from Vinegar Syndrome. And then the new VSL fantasy title. I'm very excited to see how they handled that.
Yeah, and I'm cheating a little bit because I've already ordered off the Vinegar Syndrome stuff. But you know what? To be honest, and I know this is kind of a shitty answer. When I come on here, I'm excited about pretty much every release, because petulant. I'm excited about every release that I haven't seen because I want to give everything a chance. Like when I was a teenager, when Titanic came out, I mentioned James Cameron twice tonight, and I'll go into that. So when I was a teenager, Titanic came out, and I was like, "Ugh, fuck that movie. That movie sucks." And my dad said, "Have you seen it?" And I was like, "No, I don't even need to." He was like, "Well, you can't say a movie sucks if you haven't seen it."
Yep.
So I saw it, and it sucked. But I could tell you why. And so so now I refuse to ever say something sucks until I see it. I can say it doesn't look like it's for me, but I can't say it sucks unless I've seen it. I have seen Titanic. I think it sucks. The special effects are great. And
the stars are wrong.
What?
The stars are wrong, though.
Yeah. Oh, well, and well, that's another episode. But I honestly dislike every single James Cameron movie, and that includes the Terminators, which have great special effects and action, but leave me completely cold and hollow at the end. Oh God.
I will break up this monotony for a second. DC says there was an 11th 10 for $10 title in Vinegar Syndrome today. This mean there was a hidden title every day this whole time and we missed it.
What? Oh, yes. I found an 11th on Monday. I didn't realize it was every day.
Not to hype up myself even more tonight, but this is why you got to join the Patreon, because if you're in the Discord, I pointed them out at least 2 or 3 of the days so far that there was a hidden title for $10. And got everybody in there to get it if they wanted it. Yes, today there was a slipcover title for $10. That was I think it had a slipcover. Maybe not. But yeah, the titles that were supposed to be discounted were discounted, but there was also another $10 title. And I let that revealed in the Discord. So yeah, make sure you join. I make sure to give everybody stock updates and discounts that I find in there and try to save everybody some money.
So I shouldn't say what it is because I just found it.
It's the Naughty Victorians today.
Yeah, and take it from me, you guys. It's not worth $10. That guy can't even keep it up.
Will is very tired. Before we leave, any comments or questions?
I am really tired. But I'm having a good time. I hope I haven't upset anybody.
No, of course not. I'm speaking on behalf of all of the 53 viewers left at the moment.
Hey, we've stayed consistent. It's been hovering around the 53 to 56 range the whole time.
Oh, we were up to almost 70 for a little while.
Oh.
Yeah, a couple times. Tonight has been really fun. I did want to say one thing to everybody, especially those that are still here, obviously, at the end of a very long stream. The last couple weeks and the next week that will be on this channel, and so many other random things that we talk about that are deep, a lot more below the surface type of conversation that doesn't happen on other channels. And I'm not putting those down at all, but it is very, very heartwarming that you guys are continuing for stuff like that and being active in conversations and not allowing it to scare you away or walk away from difficult conversations, because that's how that's how hobbies like this keep their integrity. First of all, being able to confront things that are both good and bad and understand why things are the way they are. I mean, the amount of people that have been up in arms over the pricing of Four Flies on Grey Velvet over the last 6 weeks is crazy. And then when you hear Severin explain that they had to literally take a scanner to an Italian lab themselves, maybe we should understand that some of these things are expensive just because the process is expensive. So conversations are difficult, and I'm glad that you are here to have them with us.
If I may quote the great poets, Kiss. If you wanted the best, you got the best. Gotta pay for it.
I still think they were plagiarizing there.
Probably.
Anyways, this has been fantastic. You guys are amazing. As usual, I want to highlight the patrons, and I wasn't ready as I started saying that. I think it's this one. Nope, that's not up to date. I need to add a new one. We've gotten like 3 new patrons in the last week, so it's a little out of date. It's been a really good time, and obviously at the beginning of the new year, it is a great time for everybody to join and maybe start a new process of checking out the Discord every day. There's a lot of action in there. And now I'll say thank you to these patrons. You guys are amazing. I appreciate all of the support for the channel and all of the support in the Discord. Genuinely, I don't understand how much conversations we have in there. I don't know the last time you've checked in on the Discord. I leave to go have dinner with my family or something, come back, and there's like 80 comments to catch up on. The community is beyond active. It's crazy.
I have to say, I find the Discord intimidating. I get so stressed out because I'm not able to get onto it as much as I want to, just because of my computer access during the day. And then I'll get on, and it's like, oh, there's all these things, and I'm trying to catch up. And that's actually one of my New Year's resolutions or whatever, is to be a little more intentional and make, like 30 minutes a day available to get in that, because there's so many people that I want to talk to. There's so many questions that have gone through tonight that I haven't been able to address. Like, for example, I don't know, is DC Ebner in the Discord? Because they asked specifically why Titanic sucks, and I'll be happy to explain in detail with screenshots.
See him in person at North Carolina
with screenshots. Oh, it was in North Carolina? Oh,
no,
yeah.
I'm telling them to come see you.
Oh, yeah. We'll have a whole seminar on that shit. But it's okay if you like it. We can disagree. If you're like a huge Titanic fan and that's like what you put on your profile, that's okay.
The only thing we can't disagree on is obviously there was enough room for Leo on that door. Come on. It's so ridiculous.
Oh, no. Yeah, well, see, that's another thing I don't like. James Cameron doubling down and lying, saying that he got a scientist to confirm.
Right. That it wouldn't be buoyant or whatever it was. Come on.
For Leonardo DiCaprio at that time weighed like 50 pounds soaking wet, which he was. He could have been on the board.
DC, to get to the Discord, you got to click on the Patreon link in the description below and join at the supporter or VIP tier, and you will be able to get an invite to the Discord. And let's see. Last thing, Wave says, what was the Blue movie you guys were talking about earlier? That was great. That is the After Blue release of Dressed in did I just say After Blue? The Altered Innocence release of Dressed in Blue that just came out. And the reason it was an important film is because of its history and impact for the trans community.
Yeah,
it explores the lives and loves of a group of 6 transgender women living in Madrid in the years following Spain's transition to democracy.
Yeah, it is really good. and important and interesting and fun and joyous. Yeah. And it's amazing that Vinegar Syndrome through OCN brings us Dressed in Blue from, the Spanish film, but also the Spanish film The Infernal Rapist.
Small correction, that's Mexican. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for this week. And
well, I fucked that
up. For everything. This has been a great start to the year, and I can't wait to do this for the next 51 weeks. Until next time. And don't forget, next week, Erica from Unsung Horrors, going to be a big show. I'm so glad that she's going to be there. Will is going to be laughing for the next 14 minutes. Thank you, guys. And until next time, from 2 collectors to all of you, have a good night.